Case number 3010, Smith Trammell versus Martin. All parties, please step forward.
Lindsay Smith and Lakeisha Trammell are suing their former friend, Charlene Martin, for vacation costs to Brazil.
Miss Trammell, you and Miss Smith have known each other for how long?
Almost 25 years.
And Miss Smith, how long have you known Miss Martin?
Probably about 8 years.
And you?
Maybe about 4.
And over a period of time, you three ladies have traveled alone, the three of you, frequently. How many have the three of you traveled on?
3.
To where?
Los Angeles.
And where was the second trip?
The second trip was a cruise to, I believe it was Grand Cayman.
Just the three of you went?
No, it was actually myself and about 25 of my friends.
And you went?
Yes, it was a large.
Was it fun?
Yeah, we had a lot of fun.
No issues?
There's always issues, but yeah.
There are always issues.
Nothing big.
Yeah. You would go with your family, there were always
Exactly.
Lindsay Smith and Lakeisha Trammell claim their former friend, Charlene Martin, owes for vacation costs to Brazil.
Okay. When was the next trip?
The third trip was actually this particular trip in.
Everybody agree on that? This was supposed to be the third trip together?
Supposed to be the third trip.
And where was it supposed to take you?
We were traveling to Brazil.
And this is your complaint. Your complaint is that you put certain things
On my credit card.
your credit card. And Miss Martin subsequently decided that she did not want to go on the trip. And because of that, and you had certain non-refundables, you were out a certain amount of money.
That is true.
ma'am.
Okay. I think it's Miss Martin's position that she booked some of her flights
I paid for my flights.
and didn't go. You just lost the money.
Correct.
How much money did you lose?
$518.96.
You weren't sick or anything.
No, I didn't feel
Because
comfortable going.
You just didn't want to go
Correct.
because you didn't feel comfortable.
Correct.
Something happened, which you'll tell me about, that suggested there was a little bit of hostility, and you decided you didn't want to go, even if it
correct.
cost you a couple of bucks. Tell me what specific charges you made that you want her to be responsible for, since it's clear, based upon what she told me, that there was no physical reason why she couldn't go. She just says she felt uncomfortable going, that she didn't think she would have a good time because of emotional messages she was receiving.
Right.
Okay, so tell me exactly what expenses you believe you incurred on her behalf that you should be responsible for.
The Airbnb.
Airbnb?
Yes.
Where?
The Airbnb that is in Rio. And
Airbnb, the Airbnb in Rio. So how much in total did you pay for the Airbnbs?
$669.81.
For her share?
For her share. Correct.
So one Airbnb they booked, the second one they booked after I said I wasn't going. So I wasn't responsible
just a
for
second.
that, and she said
Oh,
that.
just a second.
Yeah.
Tell me the date that you told them that you weren't going.
March 8th.
March 11th, actually.
March 8th.
Did you book the Airbnb after she said she wasn't going?
I had already sent her the Airbnb prior, and she agreed.
No, that's not my question. Did you book it after she told you she wasn't going?
The Airbnb was booked on March 9th, the second Airbnb.
Okay.
And then Wednesday, March 8th is when I said I wasn't going.
Can I see both documents?
There's more where I said I wasn't going, but this was just the date.
Shh, I'm just looking at the date. She sent this to you on March 8th. You said you booked that second Airbnb on March 9th. She had already told you she wasn't going. She's therefore not responsible for that second Airbnb, okay? Just give me the total cost of the first Airbnb.
$2,262.12.
Okay, $565. What else do you think she's responsible for?
The excursions as well.
Okay, I want you to tell me about the excursions.
So I booked excursions for all 4 people for the 8 days that we were there. I had everyone confirm about the excursions because I had to put in a reservation for those excursions.
Let me see what the document looks like.
I never confirmed any excursions.
If it was before the 8th, you're responsible for your 25%.
Of the excursion?
Absolutely. If you said, I'm not going, well, that's one thing. Say I'm not going, that's clear.
Yeah, hang gliding was the excursion.
I understand. If you say, I'm not going, don't book that for me, that's clear.
Okay.
So the excursions were per person.
Yes.
I see. Tell me exactly which excursions.
We went paragliding. We also did a few city tours.
I don't know what $750 Brazilian per person is.
Right. I have the breakdown of it.
A boat ride, is that $300 per person or 300 Brazilian?
Everything is Brazilian.
Everything is Brazilian?
Yes.
Okay, so let's have all the figures in Brazilian, and Sarah is going to figure it out.
I wasn't going hang gliding. I know that much. And then the rest is
Well, then
new
you
to
should
me.
have, just a second, then you should have said clearly to them who were making the arrangements, I'm not going hang gliding. I would have said that right up front.
Well, I should have said I'm too
That's
scared.
not for me.
Yeah.
Ice skating, I'll go to. You want to take me for a wine tasting tour of the vineyards? I'm with you.
She's thorough, so she'll plan a lot of activities,
Then
like ideas.
Listen, and you would have gone and you would have enjoyed yourself.
On some of them.
No, you would have gone and you would have enjoyed yourself. And if you say, I want to be excluded on this, be clear. If somebody is making the arrangements, if they're non-refundable. Now, she's saying they're non-refundable. Is that correct?
That's correct. It was for 2 people because my best friend and her sister had already stated up front that they weren't going.
I'm much like you. I'm not doing it.
Yeah. I was saying, when I even told my friend that I wasn't doing it, she said, I don't think your insurance covers that. And I was
Just
like,
a
oh, no.
second. Very easy. Just say, I'm not going. That's all you say. Say, I'm not going.
Okay.
For the hotel transfer, that $550, is that for the entire ride or was that per person?
That was for the entire ride, and then that would be split by 4.
No, just a second. That was for the entire ride.
I'm dividing it by 4.
You don't even have to divide that by 4. Cross that out.
Okay.
Now it's divided by 3. There's a difference between making a reservation for going hang gliding per person, which I understand, but if you have to get from one place to another, whether you take a car with 3 people or 4 people, if it's one cost, it doesn't make any difference. She's not charged for the transfers.
$432 US dollars.
That comes to $997. Just for my own curiosity, you decided not to go. Just tell me briefly about that.
Keisha already didn't want me on the trip altogether. She said she wanted it to be just her sister, and Lindsay. So I already wasn't really welcome
Well, when
on the
did she
trip.
tell you that?
On a phone call.
What date?
Maybe the 11th.
We're already past that. You told them on the 8th that you weren't going.
And then even if I wanted to go, they expressed that I left a bad taste in their mouth and I could no longer come, even if I wanted to.
No, that's baloney, because you didn't say that here. $997, judgment for the plaintiff. We're finished. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Thank you.
Thank
Court
you.
is adjourned.
I feel it's petty. I wish it could have been handled a different way.
Honestly, it's really disappointing. Not only did I lose money, but I also lost a friendship.
I hate to lose friendship over something this small, but, you know, it happens.
The last conversation I had with her, she said she was going to pay me, and I never heard from her again.
Almost like one of those things where it's like, I just want everybody to get along.
She would not be traveling with me again.
So as you know, I just planned my first bachelorette trip as maid of honor. I find after doing that, what I will do in the future is do an in-person hangout. Everyone bring your computers. We're going to book everything the same day. There's no confusion. There's no back and forth. There's receipts. There's texts. Everyone can book your own thing.
Yeah, not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Good suggestion. I don't book trips. I set the table. I say, we are going here on November 11th. You want to come? Say yes.
Okay, yeah.
Either you're in, you're out.
Clear.
Clear.
Nice and clear.
Your friend set up a website for you.
That's correct.
It was redirected to a porn site.
I have a video I could show you. It's explicit.
Listen, I'm a big girl. I've seen practically everything.
And he is also the only one with the capability to do that.
People can hack into the Pentagon.
This is Judy Justice. Ryan Deitch is suing his former friend, Oliver Miller, for damages after Oliver sabotaged his website.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 3089, Deitch versus Miller.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Deitch, how long have you known Mr. Miller?
It's been since 7th grade, Your Honor. So what does that make, 8 years now?
Oh, my God, have people changed in
I know.
just a few years?
Tell me
right?
about it.
7th grade, teeny people. You went through middle school together and high school?
That's correct.
Did you do any post-high school schooling?
Not together. We go to different universities, but we've
Which
remained.
school?
I go to DePaul University.
Are you still there?
I'm still there. That's right.
What year are you in?
I'm a senior.
And you, sir?
I'm a senior at Purdue University.
So this is what the case is about. Some time ago, according to you, your friend, without compensation, I assume, because there was nothing about compensation in here, set up a website for you, this friend. At some point, there was an issue of cats. The defendant has 2 cats.
That is correct.
And he was going away on vacation, and he asked you if you would mind the 2 cats.
Yeah, that's correct.
When was that?
That was on July 26th of 2023.
Where was he going?
He was going to Hawaii, Maui, actually.
Who were you going with?
I was going with my brother and my mother.
What did you tell him you needed him to do for the 2 cats?
I told him he needed to come over to the house, feed them, just make sure they're doing fine, hang out for a few minutes, and then that's it.
How many times a day?
Once a day.
Feed them once a day, change water,
Right.
clean up the kitty litter.
That's correct.
Were they indoor, outdoor cats?
Indoor cats.
Now, before you left on vacation, did you give your friend, Mr. Deitch, the instructions on what he had to do?
Yes, Your Honor. Over text, and I have it here. If
I'd like to see it.
Great. Yes.
You talk about 1 cat, Rooney.
Yes, Your Honor. She's the more excited one out of the 2. The other one, Stella, really just doesn't need any attention.
You were asking him if he would watch Rooney. Take her out once a day, and he says, feed her and clean litter box. That's a question. And you said, yeah, it should be pretty easy. Okay. And you left on vacation, and according to your countersuit, the plaintiff was negligent. The cats got out. They were gone for a week. You were hysterical because the cats were not located for a week. But Mr. Deitch's claim is that when you came home from Hawaii and found that the cats were missing, because both cats were missing at that time, when did you come home from Hawaii?
I came home on the 14th of August. We originally planned to be back on the 8th of August, but we were stranded in Hawaii during the Maui wildfires, so we were unable to make it back until the 14th.
And when you came back, you found that both cats were missing.
That's right.
Mr. Deitch says after you found both cats were missing, you got slightly hysterical, as would most people who are cat lovers and find their animals missing, and that in retaliation for that, you did something to the website that you had created for him that when people went to it, instead of clicking onto the website, which Sarah is going to try to explain to me, instead of clicking onto the website and going to the informational portion of the website, it was redirected to a porn site, and that was done in retaliation for his negligently allowing your cats to be lost. That's your claim. Now you're going to tell me about your website. Your website is for what?
So my website is pretty much my professional self. I don't apply to a job. I really don't meet someone professionally without showing them my website. It's sort of...
Well, what is your website?
It's a portfolio site.
Would you give it to Sarah so she can bring it up?
So it's basically a site...
no, not basically. Basically is a filler word.
Okay,
a website as an address.
It is a website that features a little bit about me, my contact information.
Name.
Is the name of the website. I can spell it for you if necessary.
I got it. It does, in fact, come up.
Okay.
It's basically a professional work page.
Oh, okay. And
so you put it on a business card so people can find more information.
And then what do you press for it to transition you to?
Launch portfolio.
There's like a contact page, an about page with some more information, some credits.
It seems to be working correctly now.
Oh, okay. Now, your lawsuit says that somebody hacked into your web page so that when you press this informational web page about what you do, what projects you've done in the past, and they say, oh my God, this is a nice looking guy, looks okay, let's see what he's done, because he's applied for a job or something else. They press a button and it took you to a porn site. So I want to see that.
I have an email from a recruiter who emailed me after she got redirected.
Well, why didn't you take photographs of what it was on the screen? That's very easy.
Okay, I mean, I have a video I could show you. It's explicit, though. I don't know.
Listen, I'm a big girl. I'm 81 years old. I've seen practically everything,
phone.
Although that's probably not true. They're developing new things all the time.
Ryan Deitch is accusing his former friend, Oliver Miller, of intentionally sabotaging his website. Oliver is countersuing for negligence and emotional distress, claiming Ryan lost his cat.
Okay. If you have the video, I'd like to take a look at
Here
it.
it is. So she'll just press that play button right there. Do you want the volume on or off?
Okay, so push the play button.
Ah, well, that's not terribly pornographic.
I would describe it as woefully inappropriate for a professional setting.
I believe that you're right. You can put that back. Now, at what point, on what day, did you first notice that?
So that was on August 24th, and I didn't even notice it on my own. Like I said, I received that email from a recruiter at a company.
Okay, can I see the email?
Yes, of course.
Okay, this woman, whoever this is, wrote to you and said, this looks like a bad joke, and I wasn't even going to reach out to you, but then I thought it would be fair to reach out to you because I'm sure you didn't know that this happened.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's what she's saying.
Yeah.
Did you answer her?
I mean, I did. But
No, did you? You know where I'm going. This Bethany allegedly wrote this to you, and if I were in business looking for a job, I would immediately contact her. Did you do that?
I did, but by that point, they'd already offered the job to someone else.
I don't care. I just want to see when you reached out to her.
I don't think I have that. I was over the phone. I called her.
I don't believe you.
Okay.
How's that? Goody-goody? Are we getting goody-goody? Are we getting close to what's going on? I knew it would just take me a little bit of time, guys. I knew it would just take me a little bit of time. Okay, so you don't have what would any normal business person who has set themselves up would have, which is an immediate response. Oh, Bethany, thank you. I'm so glad you directed me to this.
Yeah.
I'm going to take it down right away. Is the job still available? All of that would be here because that's the way you do it, which you don't have.
No, I don't. I mean, it was a couple days later that I was notified of that, and I called her. But like I said, the job had already been offered. There really wasn't much I could do at that point.
Nice pivot.
I
Nice
wouldn't describe
pivot.
it as that.
Nice pivot.
Okay.
Okay. Now, let us assume, for the purpose of this case, that this did in fact happen. What proof do you have that the defendant hacked into your computer and redirected it to this other site, which is clearly an inappropriate site for somebody looking for a techie job?
So he actually admitted it to me over the phone, and he is also the only one with the capability to do that. And
No, that's not the only one with the capability, sir. People can hack into the Pentagon.
That's true, but he wouldn't have to hack. He literally is the
Well, he wouldn't
gatekeeper of
have
this
to, but you
website. He
can.
controls it.
But you can. When you received this email, you didn't respond to the person who sent it. How did you communicate with him?
I called him and I texted him as well. I was very upset.
Well, just a second. Now I'll see the text.
Okay. This is it. It's at the bottom.
I assume that you wrote him, this is serious, on August 24th. Is there any response to this?
She did not respond.
He did not respond to that. So bottom line is you really have no proof that he hacked into this. So how long did that website, let's say it was August 24th, that you noticed it, and he came home on August 14th, not finding his cats. When was it taken down?
On August 25th is when it was restored. But I assume it was put to that inappropriate site soon after he got back, maybe 10, 9.
You can't assume anything. That's a guess.
Correct. That's a guess.
That's a guess. But it was taken down August 25th and put up again August 26th.
Yeah, it was restored.
Now, what I want you to do is tell me, now we have September, October, November, December, right up past January. Just for my own information, how many jobs have you had from this website? Name, person, and how much you were paid from this website since August 26th. It can't be a lot.
Yeah, I'm a college student.
Okay, it can't be a lot,
$0.
so it has to be a handful. A handful you would remember.
0.
0. Okay, that's very good. That helps me a lot. That helps me a lot because there are no damages for this business. Okay, now we're going to go to your counterclaim.
Great.
Great, right?
Yes.
Terrific. He was negligent in taking care of your cats and they got out.
He was negligent.
I just said to you, that's a yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
And you got home and you didn't find your cats.
That's correct.
One cat came back relatively quickly.
That's correct.
Which cat?
Stella.
Because Stella's a homebody.
That's correct.
And the other one sort of enjoyed his freedom.
Yes, she enjoyed her freedom.
She enjoyed her freedom. And she was out for how long?
7 days.
And then she came home.
That's right, Your Honor.
How'd she look? Happy?
She was happy to be back, but
Happy to be back, so
That's
she
all I can
decided
say.
to come home.
that's right, Your Honor.
And you have them both now.
Yes, yes.
Good. So your counterclaim's dismissed, as is your claim, sir. You can't prove it. We're
May I-
done.
Your
Thank
Honor,
you very
Your
much.
Honor.
We are finished. Finito.
May I draw
Done.
upon my witness?
No.
This court is adjourned.
I trusted a friend, and that was really my only mistake here.
He was lying the entire time. I don't know why a good friend would do that after I helped him build his website and he just tried to stab me in the back.
I'm a very forgiving person, so I hate to count it out completely, but things are not looking good for us.
You know, I think he got a bit of karma there, and I'm glad he, hopefully missed out on something, but I did not do it.
You know, I'm not so sure about that case. Let us assume that everything was as presented. The plaintiff had absolutely no damage that he could prove. He might have done that.
Sure.
You know, you lost my cats, I'm going to screw around with your webpage, and I'm absolutely certain that they are going to have dinner tomorrow night together.
I'm sure as well.
I'm sure. Getting so loaded that there was a brawl.
They attacked me. I was held down by the throat.
She was like a pit bull. Once she was like coming at me and I hit her.
I had been struck in the face so many times I had fainted.
Who is that? Is that your sister?
Yeah, she is their witness. Lovely.
This is Judy Justice. Whitney McKibben is suing her former friends, Lily Sparks and Allison Wilkinson, for damages from an assault.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 3110, McKibben, Sparks versus Wilkinson.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Miss McKibben, these two young ladies were friends of yours.
Yes, they were.
One of you was celebrating a birthday. Who was that?
That was Allison.
It's my birthday.
What birthday, Allison?
It was my 31st birthday.
And how long have you all been friends?
Lily and I have been friends off and on since the 2nd grade. Allison and I have been friends for almost a decade.
Married, single?
I have a boyfriend, but yes.
Married.
Any kids? You're Lily.
Yeah, 4 children.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm an area manager at a delivery station in Oregon.
Must be busy.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I manage around 100 to 120 people a day.
And what about you, Lily? Do you work outside the home?
Not currently, no.
Not with 4 kids.
Right, yeah. I stay at home. Yeah, they keep
Keeps
me
you busy. Allison, what about you?
I work at an oral surgery office. I'm an office manager.
Married, single?
Married, no children.
So you have 3 smart, employed women celebrating a birthday who all had too much to drink.
Unfortunately.
But it resulted in a very unpleasant weekend where you allege that you were assaulted by these 2 women, which required substantial medical treatment for you involving one of your eyes.
Yep.
When was your birthday?
April 24th, but the night of the incident was May 6th, 2023.
And you got an Airbnb?
Yes.
Where? Who arranged it?
Whitney did at Rockaway Beach.
How many women went, Whitney?
It was myself, the 2 on this side, or 3 on this side, and then also another woman named Grace. She's not here today. So I believe there was 5 in total.
And you got there on May 6th?
May 5th, we got there.
5th?
Yes.
At what time?
I had arrived to Tillamook in around 12:30. I sat on the beach by myself and waited for the rest of the party.
In what state?
Tillamook, Oregon.
When you went and sat on the beach alone on the 5th, were you drinking?
Nope.
No. What time did your friends arrive?
I believe around 3. Allison and my sister arrived together in the same vehicle.
Who is that? Is that your sister?
Yeah, she is their witness. Lovely.
What's your sister's name?
Her name is Ashley.
Okay, so now tell me what happened. The incident happened on the 5th?
So it happened on the 5th into the 6th. Correct. So we had been drinking.
When did you start drinking?
I believe we started drinking around 4 or 5. We had a few on the beach, and then we went to the Airbnb, which was like a block away. We ended up drinking more in the Airbnb, got...
What were you drinking?
Tequila. Yeah, exactly.
And what about you?
I arrived late, around 7:30. At the time I had arrived, the tequila bottle was already gone, and
So you didn't arrive until 7:30?
that's correct.
by the time 7:30 rolled around, everybody was pretty smashed.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So we had been sitting in the hot tub. There was a hot tub there, so we had all just been sitting, talking, having fun. While in the hot tub, there was a discussion to go to a local bar to have another shot of tequila. Don't know why we needed that, but we all agreed that we would do it.
Okay, so you decided to go to a local bar. What time did you leave?
So I didn't actually end up leaving with them. Like I said, we were in the hot tub. We all decided to go to the bar. They had gotten out of the hot tub first to go shower off and get dressed and ready. So I waited till they were out of the shower. I took a shower myself, came out to the living room where they all were standing, Allison, Lily, my sister, and Grace. I had a towel around me, still dripping wet, just got out of the shower. They were all ready to go. They're like, come on, let's leave. I am dripping wet and naked. Like, give me a moment to get dressed. I attempted to look through my bag to get clothing out. Wasn't really able to do that since I was inebriated. I had Grace help me get clothing out. She was actually holding, I don't remember if it was underwear or pants that she was holding for me, but like, you know, like a toddler, like, here, get in. At that point, Allison and Lily started berating me, saying, oh, look how pathetic you are. You can't even dress yourself. You are a child, things like that. So to that point, I got upset. I started yelling hurtful things back at them. Don't remember exactly what I said, but I know that it was enough to make them very upset with me. Ended up getting in a fight. They attacked me. I was held by the throat, and I believe hair was being pulled. It got broken up. I gathered my things. I went to the neighbor's house. Allison, Lily, Grace, and Ashley all went to the local bar. My plan was to sober up at the neighbor's house and leave for the night. I did not want to be there any longer. I did not feel safe.
How did you know the neighbor, if this was an Airbnb?
So this was just somebody that was also there. The next door house was an Airbnb as well that was being rented out for the night or the weekend. So the neighbors, when we were in the hot tub, they were outside of their house, like smoking a cigarette or something, and we had an interaction and we were hanging out with them. So that's how I kind of knew them and that they were there. So I just went in and knocked on the door and I said, hey, like my friends and I just got in a fight. I don't feel safe over there. Can I hang out with you guys for a few hours until I'm sober enough to drive myself home? To which they agreed, and we, hung out. About an hour into us hanging out, we heard faint screaming outside of the door, which was Allison, yelling, Whitney, I know you're in there. You need to come out. At first, I told the neighbors, because they asked me, do you want me to open?
These neighbors, men or women?
There were, it could be 2 or 3 men and 1 woman, but they...
How old were the men?
I would say probably in their late 30s.
You didn't know anything about them before this weekend?
I did not, no.
And so you felt comfortable going over drunk to strangers' house?
Yes, I felt more comfortable
than staying alone in your own Airbnb?
Yes,
okay,
because
go
I
ahead.
felt they were going to come back and hurt me again, so I wanted to remove myself completely from the situation.
Okay, so you went and hung out with these people for about an hour before Ashley came back?
Correct.
Go ahead.
She continued to scream and yell. They finally opened the door, to which she completely changed her composure and was like, Whitney, please come back. You don't know these people. I told her I don't want to come with you because I don't feel safe. And she said, well, you are intoxicated. What if these people do something to you? And I said, yeah, you are right. You're my friend. I'll come with you. But I don't want anything else to happen. Like, we've fought. It's over. I want nothing else to do with it.
When you were at the neighbor's house, did you have anything to drink?
I had water to drink.
Did they have anything to drink?
I believe they were drinking like seltzer water.
Were they smoking anything?
Cigarettes. They had cigarettes.
You know how long they were there for?
Like the weekend, or?
Yeah.
I believe they said they were there just for 2 days. So I believe it was a Saturday that they were there. So there's Saturday,
that 2 or 3 men and 1 woman?
Correct.
Know anything about them?
I didn't really gather any information about them, which, yeah, very, very odd of me to do. But, like I said, I felt safer.
Whatever.
Removing.
You felt you weren't feeling anything.
Whitney McKibben claims her former friends, Lily Sparks and Allison Wilkinson, assaulted her, causing permanent eye damage. Lily and Allison say Whitney was the one who started the fight.
Go ahead.
So I walked into the front door with Allison. I remember stating, I really don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. And then I was attacked again by Lily. I was pulled down to the floor by my hair and was held again by the neck and was repeatedly punched in the face and the head until I lost consciousness. When I came back into consciousness, my sister had told me to run because she had ripped them off of me. I ran back to the neighbor's house. I asked them to call the police. The police came. The police offered to take
Police
me.
came, you took an ambulance.
Correct.
Okay, let's put a period there for a minute. Okay, Lily, it's 7:30. You arrive at 7:30. They're already out of the hot tub?
Yeah, so when I arrived, they were not in the hot tub. We all decided to go in it together.
Okay, now pick it up from there.
Okay, we went to the hot tub and spent maybe an hour and a half in there. And then we decided to go celebrate Allison's birthday at a local bar. We went inside, we were getting ourselves ready. And she's correct, as we were about to leave, she's standing there naked. There was no towel around her. And she's screaming that she doesn't want to go. She thinks we're all fake friends, and she wasn't very happy with us at that point. And so us three went into the car to sit and wait while Grace was trying to calm her down. And then it was taking a while, and so I went back in to try and help, and Whitney started really screaming at me, calling us fake friends, bad moms. And I looked at her and I said, I feel sorry for you, Whitney. And that's when she got extremely mad at me, and she lunged at me and tried to fight me. And Grace was in the middle of it. Grace caught a fist in her jaw. And then that's when I think Allison and maybe Ashley at that point, they saw something in the window and they came to help. And Whitney just wasn't stopping. That's when her hair got pulled. All of our hair was being pulled. She was like a pit bull. And finally, we got that to kind of settle down and we left. So we went to the bar at that point, and then I can't tell you exactly what time we returned. I want to say it was before 10 o'clock. It wasn't very late. Ashley looks up Whitney's location. She sees that she's at a stranger's house next door, and we're concerned. And
Okay, stop for a moment. Ashley, tell me what happened with your sister. Let's start with this fight that happened when you were all getting ready to go to the bar and your sister came out of the shower.
So she was, wet, no towel, screaming about how she was naked and didn't want to go. She was also screaming at everybody else that they were fake friends and bad moms and all these things. I got sick of it because everybody was yelling at everybody, so I just left.
Now, then you went to the bar together, and then you came back. You tell me, what happened when you came back to the house?
When we came back to the house, I was helping my friend Grace. She was in the bathroom and sick and wasn't
Too much
feeling
to drink.
Yeah, yep, definitely. So I was helping her, and then I heard the second fight break out, and so I went out there and pulled everybody apart from each other and told Whitney to go.
Your sister was injured.
Sent her out and away.
Sent her, where did you send her?
She went to the neighbors.
She went back to the neighbors?
She went back to the neighbors.
And you called the police from the neighbors?
I believe my sister called the police, and the neighbors called the police as well.
Tell me why you called the police.
Because I was tired of all of the fighting, and they were really hurting each other.
Who started the fight?
I can't tell you who started it because I didn't see who started it, so I don't know.
Aside from your sister, initially, who became aggressive?
Well, I think Lily was angry and Ali was angry, justifiably. I mean, I would be too.
Angry because I didn't want to get more inebriated? Weird.
Okay.
I was perfectly happy to leave you.
You can sit down now for a second. Okay, you want to tell me your version of the events?
Yes, Your Honor. When you drink that much, sometimes you kind of lose the ability to make a good decision. Just kind of escalated, I think, and we were all pretty emotionally charged at that point, just from yelling and it being so loud.
To be frank, I don't think she really remembers.
I have some things that might help you remember if you'd like.
We have the police
Let's
report
go back.
also.
I'd like to see the police report.
It's right here.
And here's also a Facebook post that Allison made the night of while they were sitting at the bar.
The police report said Lily stated that Whitney kept trying to attack her and pulling her hair. You stated you punched her in the face.
Right.
You say prior to that, there was hair pulling. How was that precipitated?
At the time she got hit, Allison and her were in the kitchen, and I was sitting on the couch. And Whitney, something happened in the conversation where she directed her attention to me. She started screaming at me and started approaching me really swiftly, screaming, and I thought she was going to come.
What was she screaming?
I don't know exactly what. She was trying to ask me a question, or she was trying to get my attention or something, and she came very quickly, and I told her to get out of my face twice.
That's not what you said.
I said, get out of my face twice. And on that second one, she was coming at me, and I hit her, and it was a lot of contact.
There was no repeated punching. It was, I think, one single punch.
Were you admitted to the hospital?
I was, yes.
I'd like to see the full hospital report.
From the night of the incident?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes, that's all I'm interested in.
I also have an aftercare summary from the Portland emergency room where I went the next day as well.
I don't care about
You just
that.
want the Tillamook one? Okay.
I want that one.
I believe that's all of it.
I'm looking for the doctor's write-up on you.
The one in Portland where I live.
Madam, I don't care what happened the next day when you were sober. I want to know what the emergency room doctor, how they describe your situation when you arrived. Were you sober? Were you drunk? Were you coherent? Were you incoherent? The next day doesn't help me.
Whitney McKibben is accusing her former friends, Lily Sparks and Allison Wilkinson, of assaulting her during a party. Lily and Allison claim Whitney assaulted them first.
Okay, abrasion of multiple sites, alcohol intoxication, and then you have an orbital flood fracture and ecchymosis of the left eye. Okay, getting back to the police report. Whitney stated they came back from the bar and were knocking on the door of the neighbor's house trying to get her to come back to the house. Whitney stated all she remembers was them beating her up. Whitney mentioned she felt like she was ganged up on. Whitney mentioned she doesn't know exactly what happened, but they got into a fight. I was able to take photographs of the scratches on Whitney's neck, arm, and black eye. Whitney mentioned that she didn't want to press charges because she didn't want to ruin Lily's life. You remember? I can't even say, do you remember saying that to the police because you don't remember?
I also
It says I
had
don't remember 5 times.
I had been struck in the face so many times. I had fainted, actually. So I was checked at the emergency room. I had a CT scan because they felt I might have had a concussion.
Can I ask you a question?
Brain bleed.
If you remember speaking to the police, do you remember telling them that you pulled somebody's hair out of their head?
I do, yes.
Okay. And was that before or after you got punched?
I believe that would have been during trying to get them off of
No.
No, I was saying while she was punching me, I believe I was pulling their hair to defend myself.
Whose hair was pulled?
All of ours.
No, I have a photo of my hair was pulled.
She was pulling all of her hair, and this is the amount of hair that was swept off the floor.
Anybody want to tell me anything else? I don't have to see the rest of your medical records.
Would you like to see the photos of my many scratches, marks, my eye?
Sure, I'll take a look at them.
Thank you. And if I could mention, she stated she punched me once. That does not look like one punch unless she's the Hulk.
Well, these aren't punches. These are when you're rolling around the ground.
I believe
when
I
you're
was also
fighting.
kicked repeatedly.
Yeah. Terrible. It's really hard for me to wrap my head around 5 young, productive, clearly educated women getting so loaded that there was a brawl. But Whitney, it's clear that you were the most loaded of all.
I could have been.
I mean, you have a super responsible job.
Mm-hmm.
You flee a house drunk and go to a stranger's house where there are 3 men and 1 woman. Crazy. Your friends clearly were concerned enough about you. They could have said, listen, let her go stay there. She gets raped, that's her problem. If she gets beat up, if she gets murdered, they tried to get you to come back. I believe for your own safety and nothing else.
Yeah,
because
I agree.
And you were still severely under the influence of alcohol. And there is no question in my mind that you got the worst of this fight. Mm-hmm. They may not have been severely injured, but you precipitated this fight. You just got the worst of it.
I don't believe that gives them permission to strike me multiple times.
Oh, it does,
I
actually.
faint.
Actually, if you precipitate a fight and put your hands on somebody else, grab their hair, they can use whatever outside of a weapon. It can escalate to the next step. You can't go and get a gun and shoot somebody. But your actions precipitated everything that happened that night because you were too loaded.
I disagree. Yeah, I don't disagree with you, Judge.
And so what I'm telling you is when you have a fight, a physical fight, no weapons involved, somebody is going to always get a little more hurt than somebody else.
Does that make it right, though?
Does it make it right? No, but it doesn't make it a lawsuit. Your case is dismissed. We're done. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Judge.
This court is adjourned.
I don't believe it was right. I was assaulted quite terribly.
I'm really grateful that this is all over with.
I was struck multiple times until I fainted.
It's shocking to hear the lies that she's stating about us, but you know that obviously the judge saw right through them.
We're not friends anymore. Never again. I will never allow those women into my life, especially my sister.
I just wanted to be able to speak to the truth of what happened.
Yeah, no, friends and tequila do not mix.
Don't have a reason, I think, to ever talk to her again.
Well, it's a good lesson about getting too inebriated and then trying to bring a lawsuit afterwards. I think it's tough. I mean, no one deserves to get those sorts of injuries. The photos obviously showed that she was severely injured, but it's not a lawsuit. Like you said, someone in a brawl always ends up getting the brunt of it. And just because you get the brunt of it doesn't mean that you have a viable lawsuit, especially when you were the aggressor.
It's a good lesson, Sarah, but I'm always amazed. These were 5 substantial young women. You know, I like my wine.
Never enough to punch someone in the face.
Never enough to become that aggressive. Most people do not. Even to be in a position as the plaintiff was, where she has a super responsible job, she's in charge of other people, to risk going into a stranger's home where there are 3 unknown men and 1 woman there for the weekend is
just
such
shows
a total
her state
lack,
of mind.
just a lack of good judgment. Frightening. It should be a lesson to everybody. You know, have a limit.
Yeah.
Be able to say no more.
This is it.
Okay, so you're crossing the street. He honked the horn at you. You flipped him off.
He gets out and he starts to get loud. That's when he pulled out about an 8-inch combat knife.
Dumb and Dumber.
Next day is when we really had an altercation.
Oh, so this is just an appetizer.
This is Judy Justice. Lucille Chacon is suing her neighbor, Seth Kaufman, for damage after Seth attacked her car.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 3105, Chacon versus Kaufman.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Chacon, you are here today because you believe that the defendant is responsible for damage that was done to your car.
Yes.
Your car that was being driven by your grandson.
Yes.
This is the grandson.
Yes.
They had some altercation, and one or both of them may have gotten a little bit injured during the course of the altercation. But what took the most of a beating was your automobile.
Yes.
Were you present during that incident?
Not while the incident was happening, but I did come out later on.
Well, I'm not interested in what happened later on, because the defendant's position is that it was your grandson that precipitated this whole problem, and he was merely reacting to what your grandson had done. So since you were not a witness to any of this, I'm going to have you change places with your grandson.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Tell me your name.
My name is James Abeda.
James.
Yes.
How old are you, James?
I'm 19 years old.
What do you do?
I'm a plumber.
Your first name?
Seth.
How old are you?
I'm 22 years old.
What do you do?
I'm a cook.
Where?
At a senior living in Oceanside.
Both working. Hallelujah moment. A 19 and a 22-year-old who were actually employed. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How do you know him?
I didn't know him until this altercation happened, and I found out he was my neighbor.
Okay. This incident happened on...
I think it was September 15th.
So you live next door to each other?
I believe he lives in the apartment next to mine, yes.
How long have you lived in your apartment?
About 6 years, but I haven't always stayed with my grandmother, and that's where she stays, and I stay with her currently.
Could you speak a little slower and try to keep the hair out of your eyes when you're talking to me?
Yes.
Thank you. On September 15th, where were you living?
With my grandmother in Torrance.
And is that where you live as well?
Yes, it is.
Prior to September 15th, you didn't know each other?
I didn't. Not at all.
Okay. So why don't you start out by telling me what happened on September 15th, starting out with the time?
My first time interacting with him, I was crossing the street to go to work with channel locks, boots, and other
With
things.
what?
With like channel locks, pliers for work. I had those in my hand along with boots and other things that I needed. And as I was almost gonna finish crossing the street, he started to honk, and I flipped him off because...
Okay, so he was driving.
Yes.
So you were crossing the street.
Yes.
He was driving. Were you walking slowly? Just a second, Seth. So he was walking slowly.
Very, very slowly.
How very, very
Like
slowly?
at
Just
the-
listen to me. Listen, what I want you to do is, who is this?
Oh, that's my girlfriend.
It's your girlfriend. I want you to stand between your girlfriend and the desk. Right here. Right there. Now I want you to walk in front of your bench and show me how fast he was walking.
Probably about this, like...
No, that's
Like a
not true.
snail's pace.
Yeah, that's not true. Now go back, and I want you to rethink this again, Seth. I want you to rethink it. Do you understand?
Yes.
You know how old I am? Nobody crosses the street like that, sir, unless they're looking to irritate you. And you hadn't even had any contact with him before that, so he wasn't walking backwards. Now show me how he was walking.
Probably about...
That's okay. That's better. Now go back. Okay. Did he have the right of way? Is not an answer.
He did not.
All pedestrians have the right of way, sir.
It wasn't on a crossing guard.
So he was crossing in the middle of the street?
Yes, between the median.
Explain that to me.
There's a median between the street on Artesia, and it was like walking off of there. No like crosswalk or anything.
What time was this?
It was in the morning, I think about 10 a.m.
Okay, so you're crossing the street. Wasn't fast enough for him. He honked the horn at you. You flipped him off.
Yes.
Okay, let's go from there.
And then when I flipped him off, he got very mad, and he
Just tell me what he did. Don't tell me he got mad. Mad is his state of mind. Just
sorry.
tell me what he did. You
Okay.
flipped him off. Did you
Yeah.
say anything?
No, I didn't at that point. He was in his car with the windows up.
Okay, was he alone?
He was with his girlfriend at the time.
That would be you. Yes. Do me a favor, please. Kevin, take her outside. This way. Okay, so he's with his girlfriend. You flipped him off now.
So he parks his car in the middle of the street.
He stops in the middle of the street.
Yes, and he gets out, and he starts to get loud. He's like you need to learn some respect, and
Is that what he said to you? You have to learn some respect?
yes, he said like something along the lines of I'm gonna teach you some respect, or you need to learn some respect, because I had flipped him off, and
Just a minute. So far, Seth, listen to me. You're driving your car with your girlfriend. He's walking very slowly. You honk your horn at him. He turns around. He flips you off. You stop the car. Is that correct?
yeah.
Not yeah. Not yeah. That's a yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am is even better.
Lucille Chacon claims her neighbor, Seth Kaufman, damaged her car during a fight with her grandson, James.
Okay, you stopped the car. Did you get out of the car?
Yes, because
Okay.
I was.
Just a second. You stopped the car. And when you stopped the car in the middle of the street.
I pulled off to the side.
Was it in a parking lane?
Yes.
Listen, was it in a parking lane that you pulled over?
Yes.
Okay, so you pulled over into a parking lane and got out of your car.
Yes, and put on my emergency lights as well.
Well, what was the emergency? Think about that for a second. I want you to tell me what the emergency was. Is not an answer.
It's not an answer, you're right, ma'am. He was yelling obscenities at me, so I yelled some obscenities back.
No. He wasn't yelling obscenities to you, sir. He flipped you off.
He left out the part where he also yelled obscenities at me.
You mean after you honked the horn at him?
Yes.
What did he say?
Along the...
Not along the line. I want you to think about what he said. You know, I got a crystal ball here. I want you to think about what he said, and you can tell me. Nothing makes me blush.
He basically just said...
Not basic. Listen, basically is a filler word. What did he say?
Am I allowed to cuss, ma'am, here? Because it was curse words.
Are you allowed to say it? I said to you, I've heard everything.
He basically said I was a... Sorry,
Basically,
ma'am.
Not basically. What did he say?
He said I was a...
He said I was a bitch. He said I was a lot of things.
Now, just a second. Now, he said all these things to you while he was crossing the street and flipping you off.
Yes.
No, I'm not sure I buy that. My friend Seth, I think they may have said those things to you after you stopped and you started to argue with him. But all that didn't happen. You're driving in the driving lane. You honk your horn because you're a little impatient, which is sort of stupid, but you're only 22. And he flips you off. You pull off to the side. This all happened very fast.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Common sense. That's what the world is all about. You pull off and then you get out, and then you start back and forth with him.
No, Judge. Because he actually did start yelling obscenities when I had my windows down. He mentioned the fact that my windows were up. They were not. They were down because it was a hot day. So I could hear him yelling the obscenities because it was when he started flipping me off. It was...
Yeah, so why don't you just keep going? What difference does it make to you? If he calls you a couple of names, you're in the car with your girlfriend, what difference does it make? You keep moving.
Ego, I guess, ma'am.
Well, you can call it ego, you can call it the stupid gene, you can call it whatever you want, but you don't pull over in your car because somebody calls you a name after you act like a jerk and honk your horn at them as they're crossing the street and get out of your car. Okay, so now you're an idiot. Now let's move forward. So now you're yelling at each other. Next.
After that, he said we could fight.
No, look here.
Sorry, he said we could fight, so...
He said to you, you could fight?
Yeah, we both...
No, not we both. I want to know what he said to you. He's crossing the street. He's got things in his hands. According to you, he says to you, do you want to fight?
Yes. Yes,
and?
And I agreed.
And you said, sure, I want to fight.
Yeah. It's mutual combat.
Dumb and dumber. Go ahead. So he said, do you want to fight? You said, sure. This is all because you honked your horn because somebody wasn't walking fast enough in front of your car. You know how stupid that sounds?
Pretty stupid.
Yeah.
I'm aware it sounds stupid now coming out of my mouth.
Yeah.
Again, yeah.
Yeah. You know, what you got to say is, I'm a work in progress.
Yeah, I am.
Okay, keep going.
After he agreed to that...
He agreed to fight with you?
Yeah, he agreed. After that, when it was just me and him, my girlfriend was trying to tell me, like, just stop. We can both, like, just leave, which I should have listened to her. I understand that. Yes.
Was she still in the car?
No, she had come out with me to, like, try to dissolve the situation.
Okay, so, you know, she's out someplace now where she can't hear what's going on here, which is why I had her escorted from the courtroom. So she's going to tell me that when you pulled over, she said, do not get out of the car.
Yeah.
Don't get out of the car.
Yes.
That sounds like something I would say to my husband when somebody cuts him off and he pulls off and he goes running out of the car. I say, you're 90 years old. Who are you going to fight with? Go ahead. You know, but sometimes you don't get smarter. Sometimes the work in progress just gets stunted. Keep going.
After that, when we both agreed to
fight, and your girlfriend is telling you...
Trying to stop me from doing everything. That's when he pulled out about an 8-inch combat knife that was completely camouflaged. Wish I had a picture of it. But it was about that big enough to hurt me, basically. Like,
I don't care what size a knife is. A knife is a knife is a knife. It could be an inch long.
I agree.
A knife.
But yeah, it was a pretty big knife. And then after that, when we were just yelling at each other, I didn't leave after he pulled out the knife because I was kind of like, I can't believe you pulled out a knife on me. I was just shocked by it. A neighbor came over and started trying to break us up as well. And so did my father. My father came over because he just so happened to be outside and tried to stop us too. So that day it got dissolved, like the whole situation.
And?
The next day is when we really had an altercation.
Oh, so this is just an appetizer.
Yes.
Of what happened the next day, which was September 16th.
Yes.
So now your father is there, your girlfriend is there, you're separated.
Yes.
Then you saw each other again the next day.
Correct.
Take it from there. Now you saw each other the next day. What happened the next day? So far we don't have anything except, did you take out a knife on the 15th? That's an answer, yes or no?
No.
You did not?
No.
You did not have a knife with you?
Yes, I did.
You did. Where was it?
In my waistband.
So it was there?
Yes.
Okay. And visible?
Yes.
Okay. And what kind of a knife was it?
A camouflage knife with a...
How big?
About this big.
Okay. And who else was out there? He was there with his girlfriend, and his father came to sort of break things up, and it was broken up, and you got back into your car and drove off.
Yes.
So far, correct?
Yes.
Let's go to the next day.
So the next day, I was sitting in my car in front of the apartment that I live at.
You mean your grandmother's car?
Yes. And I noticed that he was like on the median that he was talking about on Artesia. He was already crossed on that side, and he was with his girlfriend. And he had noticed that I was sitting in my car, and he had already had his knife out, and he came up to me, and he tried stabbing me. He stuck his knife in the car, already yelling before I could even acknowledge his existence. He came up to me yelling, upset, and he.
What was he yelling?
He was like, "What's up?" He was like, "What's up? What happened yesterday? Like, what about yesterday? You called me. What about now?" Because he had a knife now, and I guess the day before he felt like he didn't. So he came up to me with a knife and immediately stuck it in the window, tried poking me, and as I tried to get out, he kicked the door about 5 times while I was trying to get out, crushing me and also shutting the door as I'm trying to get out. And by the time I got out...
What were you trying to get out for?
To not get stabbed, because I couldn't pull off because he was on the left side of my car, and that's the side I needed to go onto the road, so I couldn't drive off.
Unless you ran him over.
Yeah, and I didn't want to kill him.
He had a knife. He was stabbing you.
Yeah.
You could have killed him.
Lucille Chacon and her grandson James are accusing their neighbor, Seth Kaufman, of damaging her car during a fight with James.
Okay, keep going.
So at that point, I got out and I followed him.
Okay, just a second. So then you were able to get out of your car because he walked away.
He didn't walk away.
Well, then, because you say you were following him, which means that you were behind him, which means he was walking away.
No, he was facing me and I was facing him, and I was kind of like walking him back around my car, because I was trying to go to my gate and get inside instead of driving off.
Well, why didn't you drive off? Now he's away from the car. Why didn't you just drive off?
I just didn't want to get stabbed. I wasn't sure what to do. It all happened very fast.
So you didn't want to get stabbed, so you got out of your car.
Yeah, and I was trying to go inside.
Is that pretty stupid, right?
Yeah, well, I was trying to avoid hitting him with the car.
Nah. Go.
He was parked in the fire lane, and there was no cars in front of him. He could have pulled off.
No, not coulda, woulda, shoulda. Just tell me what happened.
I was walking across the street. Me and my girlfriend were actually having a little bit of a spat.
My girlfriend and I.
Oh, my girlfriend and I, you're right. We're having a little bit of a spat. She was leaving. I was going across the street to go, talk to her, settle things down.
So you were having a fight with your girlfriend?
Yeah, little altercation.
What were you having a fight about?
I don't even remember. Something small and stupid, probably. And then while I was walking across the street, I heard James from his car, who put down his window, start yelling at me. Again, more obscenities. You're a bitch, you're this, you're that. So I thought he wanted to start stuff again. And it seemed like he did. So I walked up, I started talking to him. Like, do you want to fight again? The exact same thing I said the day before, and the exact same thing happened. He pulled out a knife that he had in his waistband, and yeah, we just kept yelling at each other back and forth. My girlfriend, again, tried to get in between us and stop everything that was going on.
Okay, so what you're saying to me, that he instigated what happened on the 16th of September by shouting at you when you were crossing the street to talk to your girlfriend.
Exactly.
And then you came back to the car to confront him as to why he's calling you names again.
Exactly.
And then from inside his car, he took out a knife?
The exact same knife, yes.
The exact same knife?
Yes.
And what did you have?
Nothing.
Now, you knew he had a knife from the day before.
Yes, I did.
So why would you go over to his car unless you yourself had some sort of something to protect yourself with?
I didn't really care about protecting myself. I was just more angry than anything. And that does sound stupid, but it's the truth. I was just really upset with the fact that we could have had mutual combat the day before, which we both are adults, we agreed to. Could have done that, but he wanted to pull out a weapon when there was...
This all started because he wasn't walking fast enough across the street.
Yes, this all started because he wasn't walking fast enough across the street, yes.
Mm-hmm. How did Mrs. Chacon's car get damaged?
When I was trying to defend myself from him, like I said, he had a pretty big knife. He says that he was following me.
No. I asked you a question. He did not damage his own car.
He did not.
You damaged his car. How did you damage his car, and with what? What?
I guess my body when I was trying to defend myself.
Well,
I didn't even realize it happened until it happened.
Yeah, but I'm going to see pictures of it, I assume. Do you have photographs? I assume I'm going to see pictures of the damage to the car.
I do not have photos of the car.
No, they do.
Oh, yeah.
So as far as you're concerned, you don't know exactly how their car got damaged?
No, not exactly.
Did you break a window?
That's what they told me I did.
No. You were there.
I was there. I don't remember doing that, though. I don't.
Did you break a windshield?
I believe it was the back, not window, but the little tiny part that's connected to your back window in the back of your car? One of those tiny ones. Not the window, but the little glass part over.
A little glass part, that's usually called a window.
Yeah.
What about holes in the car?
Holes?
Holes. Would there be any pictures of holes in the car?
I don't think so.
No. Okay. And would there be any marks where there was any kicking to the car?
There shouldn't have been. No, ma'am.
You don't remember kicking the car?
No, I don't.
Do you remember what kind of car it was?
BMW.
Okay. Now, let's go back. Now he's with the girlfriend. Pick it up.
So he's
September 16th. You're in your car, sitting in the fire lane. Did you hear what he just told me?
Yes.
Is that accurate?
No, it's not. He damaged my car when I had gotten out of it. We went to the back, and that's where I had to go to my gate and
Go to your what?
To my gate inside of my apartment. And his girlfriend was screaming to just stop everything because the day before it was something traumatic, I'm sure, for her as well already. And it was the same, like calling each other that. And so we were just standing there across from each other on the sidewalk. And then he backed, because he's close to my car, so he kind of backhands it. And he does that to the trunk. And his hand goes through the glass, so it cuts him. And the back of the car has a hole in it.
Can I see the photographs of the damage? Oh, well, that would be what we call look, like a 2-year-old. That would be called a window. What I want you to do is, I see the broken window. What I want you to do, James, is Kevin is going to give you a pen, something that will show up on this, and I want you to make a circle as to where you allege there's damage to your car, your grandmother's car, other than the window.
I believe there was one more picture in the stack that showed the door that he kicked.
Well, I'd like to see it. Okay. What's the damage here?
Like a scratch, like a line across.
And what was that made with?
I think with a knife.
Okay, good. Now, Kevin, would you go and bring in Mr. Kaufman's girlfriend? What is her name?
Kyla.
He attempted to slash her with a knife.
Correct.
No.
You were taken into police custody.
They tried to charge me with assault with a deadly weapon.
Was this the first time you ever spent time in jail? Of course not. It's clear to me that your grandson has some growing up to do.
This is Judy Justice. Previously on Judy Justice.
Ms. Khan, you are here today because you believe that the defendant is responsible for damage that was done to your car that was being driven by your grandson.
Yes.
My first time interacting with him, as I was almost gonna finish crossing the street, he started to honk, and I flipped him off.
And?
The next day is when we really had an altercation.
I was sitting in my car. He came up to me with a knife and immediately stuck it in the window, tried poking me. He kicked the door about 5 times while I was trying to get out.
How did Mrs. Chacon's car get damaged? So as far as you're concerned, you don't know exactly how their car got damaged?
No.
Now, Kevin, would you go and bring in Mr. Kaufman's girlfriend? What is her name?
Kyla.
And now, the conclusion. Lucille Chacon is suing her neighbor, Seth Kaufman, for car damages resulting from a fight with her grandson.
Now you can sit down. I want to talk to Kyla. You can sit down. Kyla, what's your last name?
Steed, S-T-E-E-D.
How long have you and Seth been a couple?
Going on 2 years now.
He has bad temper.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. We're going to go back because you were driving in the car with him.
Yes.
Plaintiff's grandson was crossing the street. Where were you going?
I don't really remember.
Think.
Probably to the store or like to get something to eat.
It's 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
You live together?
No. Well, yes.
Just a second. That's either a yes.
Yes.
Or a no, or a sometimes. It's never a maybe.
It's a yes.
Where do you live together?
I live in his car.
You live in his car?
Yes.
And where does he live?
He lives with his mom.
How long have you been living in his car?
A good minute. I'm not sure.
A month, a week, 6 months?
I don't know. Can't think of the time.
Do you ever go to his mom's house?
Sometimes.
You ever stay over at his mom's house?
Sometimes.
Okay. So I want you to tell me what happened on September 15th when the plaintiff crossed the street.
I don't really remember. Yeah, I can't really remember.
Where do you come from? Where do you live now? In what county, city?
Oceanside.
California?
Yes.
How old are you?
22.
So I'm going to try to refresh your recollection so that we can start.
Okay.
Because not remembering doesn't work for me.
Okay.
This young man was crossing the street. You're driving with your boyfriend in his car where you sometimes live. You're a passenger, he's a driver. Okay. He's crossing the street. Your boyfriend honks the horn. He flips him off.
Okay.
Your boyfriend pulls over into a parking lane, puts on his hazards, according to him. What do you say to your boyfriend?
I think I just follow him and...
Followed him where?
To go get back in the car, basically.
That's what you told him. So far, so good. Get back into the car, let it go. When he pulled the car over, did you tell him to let it go and just go?
I think so.
Think.
I just remember, I don't remember.
Okay. You've been with him 2 years, correct?
Yes.
And the place where he lives, his father also lives. Is that right?
Yes.
What's his father like?
He's a pretty nice guy.
Did you ever see Seth with a knife?
No.
Does he have one?
Not that I know of.
Does he have any weapon?
Not that
you ever saw?
No.
What about his father?
His father have a weapon?
Mm-hmm. Ever see?
Not that I know of.
Now I want you to go back in your memory, to the next day. This is the day after this incident happened in the street. And ultimately, his father was there. Between you and his father, you got him to separate, and you all went on your merry way.
Yes.
On the 15th. Now I want you to think back to the 16th, which is the day after.
Okay.
You and your boyfriend were outside, and you were having an argument.
Yes.
And you walked away from him, and you went to the median in the street.
Yes.
Okay. What was the argument about?
I did something to upset him.
What did you do?
I was talking to another guy.
That he saw, or that was on a text?
It was on a text.
Okay. And so he was upset?
Yes.
Where had you been right before you got outside?
If I'm not mistaken, I think that's when we were at his dad's house, inside his dad's house.
So you were at Dad's house?
And if not, it was either in his dad's house or outside in the car.
Okay. Was he yelling at you? What was he saying to you? I mean, I could understand him being pretty upset. I mean, after all, he let you live in his car.
Remember.
Right? And now he sees you talking on phone. What he said is he sees you talking on the phone to texting, probably, another guy.
Yes.
And he's angry.
Yes.
And he has a little bit of a temper that you've seen occasionally. I would say that that's probably true, right? You saw it the day before. So you started to walk away.
Yes.
And did he follow you?
Yes, he did.
Followed you.
Yes.
And what was he saying as he followed you?
I don't remember. I think he was trying to get me to leave.
What do you mean, you were already leaving?
Yeah. Or I really don't remember. I'm pretty sure he was trying to get me to, like, not be around him anymore.
So what was he saying to you? And was he saying it in a loud way or in a quiet way?
Like medium, like not so loud, but like still loud.
So he's following you into the median, and then you're there. So you actually saw everything that happened. Where was the plaintiff's car?
I think it was across the street.
Yes. And so you saw his plaintiff's car. Now he's coming out after you, and he is angry.
Yes.
Go ahead. I want you to tell me next about what happened in the confrontation between Seth and James and the car.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Don't say I don't remember.
Okay.
Let's go.
I really can't remember.
Would you have remembered better if he was sitting in the courtroom and you heard him testify? Would you have remembered better?
Yes.
That's why you weren't here.
Lucille Chacon claims her neighbor, Seth Kaufman, owes for car damages after fighting with her grandson, James.
Now tell me what happened.
I don't remember. I remember.
You do understand, Seth. You do understand, Seth, that because she can't remember, you're going to pay for the damage to the car. You do understand that.
I do not understand.
Oh, well, I'm telling you, if she is so intimidated by you that she can't tell me.
Oh, you think it's
that
him?
that she can't tell me what happened on September 16th. That she can't tell me what happened on September 16th, and she's your witness, you're going to pay for the damage to the car. Do you understand? I want you to be clear about that. Kyla, if you can't remember, he's going to pay for the damage to the car.
Okay.
You understand?
I understand.
Now, do you have any memory of what happened on September 16th other than the fact that he was angry that you were texting with another guy?
I remember crossing the street, and then next thing I know is I hear yelling. So I turn around, and they're going at each other.
What does that mean? Tell me.
They're yelling at each other.
Just yelling?
Just yelling.
Okay, and so now you have to watch them. They're yelling at each other.
I get in between them.
Because they're yelling at each other. You walked over to where they were.
Yes.
And physically put your body in between them.
Yes.
Okay. Was James in his car or out of his car?
I think he started off in his car. And
that's correct.
I don't remember how it started, but he had somehow tried to get out. I guess my boyfriend kicked the door, and then that's when he grabbed it. Like, he had got out eventually, and then he had a knife in his hand. James did.
Yes.
And that's when I kind of backed up, but I was still trying to tell Seth to, like, let's just go and leave it alone.
Smart.
And after that, it kind of just ended. The cops had came.
Okay, good. Now you can change places with each other. Okay. Now I'll see an estimate for the damage. Now they have to put a window in the car and take out a dent. What happened when the police came, James?
When the police showed up, they arrested both of us and separated us almost immediately. And I'm not sure where they put him, but they put me in the back of a cop car.
And then what happened?
And then I was taken to jail. And they tried to charge me with assault with a deadly weapon, but they realized soon that I was a victim and they dropped all charges.
Don't tell me what they realized. You were arrested, and at the time of your arrest, you had the knife with you.
It was in the grass somewhere.
You had thrown it in the grass?
Yes.
Okay, so at the time, I love this job. So at the time of your arrest, despite the fact that he told them that you had a knife, you disposed of the knife. So at the time that the police came, you had no knife.
Yes.
Great, love this. Okay, did you have the window? Now you can sit down. Well, just don't sit down. You can stand next to your grandmother. He did not cause $4,000 of damage to your car, madam. You had to have the dent taken out, maybe two, and you had to replace a window, which is a big deal. Do you know how much that was?
I haven't replaced it. I can't afford it. The window's still broken, the dents are still in the car. And there's also a scratch right around the car. And
I don't know how that happened.
There's more than 2 dents. There's about 4 or 5 dents in the door.
Yeah, I wouldn't let him drive the car anymore. Do you let him drive the car anymore?
He has to get to work, and I can't always take him.
So the answer is you still let him drive the car?
Yes.
So you drive the car and you leave it outside with a broken window?
Well, we have the window covered, so
with what?
So the rain doesn't get in there. And we're using my car right now. We very seldom use the BMW now. It's parked in the back.
Sarah, could you please find there the cost of fixing the window, if you can?
Sure.
So you disposed of the weapon before you were taken into police custody. Will you ultimately let go?
Yes, after 3 days.
So you spent 3 days in jail?
Yeah.
Did you see a lawyer?
I don't believe I did.
You had to have been arraigned.
It was a public defender.
Well, that's a lawyer.
I wasn't quite sure.
That the person was a lawyer?
Or a public defender. I don't know the difference, to be honest.
Public defender is a lawyer.
Or
Who does it? cheaper. But I want a lawyer. I don't have a lawyer. I have a legal aid.
I see for a tint glass, but it doesn't break out besides taxable parts and labor, but it doesn't break out for...
See if you can look up replacing a BMW small window, Sarah.
Okay.
See if you can find that, because that's what he's going to do.
Actually, I think there's a line item here, rear door stationary vent glass, remove, replace, $133 at the very bottom, the last line item, if you want to just take a look. And then there is an additional tint glass. Here, I'll just circle it. I circled it for an additional $75.
Your Honor, may I speak?
Mm-hmm.
He also put a dent in the back of in the trunk with his knife.
He didn't have a knife.
He did have a knife.
Maybe. But so far I have no proof that he had a knife. I know he had a knife.
Okay.
I know he had a knife that he was smart enough to dispose of before he was arrested. Do you understand?
I understand.
Very good.
Lucille Chacon claims the defendant, Seth Kaufman, refuses to pay for car damages after starting a fight with her grandson, James.
What I'm telling you is he was smart enough to dispose of his knife before he was arrested. Do you understand? If the police had found the knife on him, probably would have been a whole different story. Was this the first time you ever spent time in jail?
No.
Of course not. Immediately prior to this incident, when had you been in jail before?
About a week.
For what?
Domestic violence.
Against whom?
My ex-girlfriend.
Great. What happened with that case?
She attacked me, so I smacked her once, and then some neighbors saw and called the cops.
Mm-hmm. Now, that was about a week before. Immediately prior to that?
That was it, the domestic violence and then assault with a deadly weapon.
Two things?
Yes.
The only time that you've been arrested?
Yes.
Really? What about you?
Well, I didn't get arrested that day.
No. Prior to September 16th, when had you been arrested immediately before?
Never.
Never?
I had been detained before. But
You've been what?
Detained, where they'd sit you on the curb and stuff, but never arrested. Me and my girlfriend were having a spat outside. We got detained because the neighbor said we were too loud, but we weren't arrested. We were just talked to, told to quiet down, and then we all went on our way.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you this, Ms. Chacon. You got to stop thinking that he's an innocent victim. Do you understand?
Yes.
He's 19 years old, right?
Yes.
How old are you?
74.
Ever been arrested?
No.
I'm 81. Never been arrested. 26. Never been arrested. I don't even have to go on this side. You got the gist of what I'm saying to you. He's 19. He was arrested twice within 1 week. Doesn't that tell you something?
Either he's several times, yes.
We talked about what?
About him staying out of trouble and just concentrating on working, which is what he's doing now.
Okay.
And he did have the money to buy that car. He had worked a whole year putting money away for the down payment on the BMW.
And?
So he's very responsible. And also on the police report, it was mentioned that they believe he hit the window with the back of the knife, and that's how he cut his hand.
Oh, I'd like to see the police report, please, before I make a decision about how much your grandson is going to contribute to fixing the car. Because both of these characters acted inappropriately. You would agree with that, Ms. Chacon, wouldn't you?
Yes.
Perfect. So that they should both bear the responsibility. One, it's really Dumb and Dumber. Oh, so the same police officer who arrested you this time arrested you in the domestic violence case?
Yes.
Let's read on. How come neither one of you told me? Stand up. Over there. Did you tell the police that he tried to stab her with a knife?
Yes, I did.
How come in all this conversation that we had today so far, we've been at this for 40 minutes, I never heard from you that he tried to slash her with a knife?
I didn't want to talk out of turn. I was waiting for my turn to talk.
You idiot.
There was a few things
You're idiot.
left out.
So far, I have to tell you what you've told me about yourself, that you got out of your car because someone disrespected you,
Yes.
right? That you went over to him because whatever, because you had a big fight with your girlfriend about something else. That you told me. The most important thing that's in this police report is your claim that everybody else denies that he attempted to slash her with a knife.
Correct.
That you forgot to tell me.
Yes. Okay. Let's all forget it and didn't have the time to.
Okay, I'm finished with this case. I don't have to read it anymore. It's clear to me that cross your hands.
Sorry.
It's clear to me that your grandson has some growing up to do. First, you should get him take the hair out of his eyes. He'd be more successful. He could see where he's going. Second thing is, he's going to pay for half the damage to your car. And at most, the damage to your car is $1,000. So he's going to pay $500 because all I'm charging them is $500. Do you understand?
Yes.
We're done. Thank you very much. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500.
This court is adjourned.
Goodbye.
I'm happy with the judge's decision. I think that James was equally, or if not more, responsible for what happened that day than I was, so I'm glad that she made him at least pay for half of it.
I respect that. I respect her decision.
I should have been better about my anger. I don't need to lose my temper like that.
I mean, as the judge said, I could have murdered him. Those are her words.
I think that I was acting a little bit stupid those 2 days. The next day, I thought about it a lot. Like, I didn't need to do any of this.
I was simply going to work. I don't instigate fights.
People carry guns. A lot of people carry a lot of other illegal things that they can just use on you at any time, so.
My words were, I don't want to fight you, and when I showed him my waistband with the knife, he didn't want to fight anymore either.
Basically, just gotta check my ego.
Just keep doing what I want to do.
This whole thing could have been avoided if two young men just checked their egos a little bit. Got way out of hand for literally no reason. No reason. Walking a little too slow to cross the street.
I think that it's a very deep pathology. Those 3 young people is a very sad pathology. Not sure what her issues are, but the 19-year-old looks like butter could melt in his mouth until he opens his mouth. And he's clearly got his grandmother sort of a little bamboozled.
What started off as 2 young employed people who thought it was going well.
It went south fast.
Yeah. Looks like a job won't save everybody, but...
Better be unemployed and a nice person than employed and going down a very negative path.
Yeah.
All 3 of them.
Yeah.
All 3 of them. Very sad.
Great.
Stole the keys to your car and your car.
Correct.
I was out for maybe less than 2 minutes.
I had noticeable issues and got worse and worse, and I had to get it towed.
Because the way he drives, there's videos of how he drives.
What an idiot!
This is Judy Justice. Sean Spencer is suing his friend, Sierra Coya, for engine damage after Sierra drove his sports car without permission.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 3099, Spencer versus Coya.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Spencer, how old are you?
19.
Who is this?
This is the person who evaluated my car, the mechanic.
How old are you?
I'm 18, Your Honor.
This is your claim, Mr. Spencer. Your claim is that the defendant took your car without your permission and for sort of a little test drive or a joyride, and she blew the engine on the car. That's your claim. Correct. The defendant said it's absolutely not true. She didn't do anything to the car. She does acknowledge that she took it for a test drive. She said, I did nothing to the car. The car was perfectly fine when I brought it back.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so tell me on what date you were hanging out and your car was taken by the defendant.
It was September 28th, Your Honor.
What kind of car is it?
It's a 2013 Scion FRS, 2-seater sports car.
So the car is 11 years old?
Correct.
How long have you had it?
I've had it since May 25th.
Of this year?
Correct, or yeah, 2023.
Who'd you buy it from?
I bought it from a neighbor.
How many miles does it have on it now?
It has 140,000 miles.
How much did you pay for the car?
I paid $12,000.
You paid $12,000 for a car that had 140,000 miles on it?
Correct. It's a sports car.
Okay. Where'd you get the $12,000 from?
Some of it's through a loan through my mother, and the rest was in cash.
Where'd you get the cash from?
Jobs or...
So you saved up?
Correct.
Okay. So tell me what happened in September.
So it's September 28th. We were all hanging out for a couple of hours.
Where?
This is up in Palmdale, just off 49th Street, at a friend.
Where were you? At a friend?
Yeah. It was one of the friends that we were hanging out with.
Okay, how many people were there?
5 of them, me make 6, so 6 total. My girlfriend's birthday was the following day, so we were gonna hang out throughout the night up until midnight.
What time had you gotten to your friend's house?
Roughly like 4 p.m., 5 p.m. Dinner
What time did you get there?
I got around 3 p.m.
Okay. Now tell me what happened with the car.
We were all hanging out in her room at the place in Palmdale. My keys...
Your friend's room?
Yes, correct. My keys as well as wallet and phone were all on a desk. We're gonna head down to Canyon Country, Santa Clarita, and just before leaving, the defendant had punched me in my stomach and kicked me, ran off, stole the keys, and then...
Out of nowhere, she came and she punched you in the stomach and kicked you where?
Like, just somewhere like in the side. I was on a bed, and then she had hit me, and I turned over, and she had kicked me, and then ran off.
You mean from nothing? You didn't have any incident with her?
No, not at all.
So
she's rather physical and has been in previous... We've hung out
Physical
before.
how?
Just punching, hitting, pinching.
You're talking about playfully.
Not
Because
necessarily.
otherwise you wouldn't hang out with her.
I don't necessarily like to, but it's a friend group that everyone else I enjoy being around. So I kind of just sort of deal with it, if you will.
So now she's punched you in the side and kicked you.
Mm-hmm.
And then what?
She then proceeded to take my keys and run out of the house. By this time, 3 others were out of the bedroom and starting to get out of the house.
Just a second. So you were alone with her on the bed?
So we were all getting ready to leave. 3 people had already left the room. What was left in the room was me, my girlfriend, and the defendant.
Mhm.
Then...
And where were you all?
I was on the bed, and my girlfriend was on the bed. She was standing just in front.
And?
And then she proceeded to hit me, kick me.
So what you're telling me is she leaned over, she punched you, and then got her foot up and kicked you someplace.
Yeah.
Got her foot up over the bed and kicked you.
It was like hip level.
I think I believe that. I don't. And then she took your keys and ran out of the house.
Correct. She ran out of the house.
Okay. Now, tell me how you got the keys to the car.
He had them laying on the desk. We were all just messing around. I didn't hit him or kick him.
Would you just tell me? Don't tell me what you didn't do. Tell me what you did.
I grabbed his keys and I went out of the house.
So when you say you grabbed his keys and went out of the house, you took the car without permission.
Yes, I did.
Why?
It was a sports car, so it was like I wanted like an experience of like driving it. It was supposed to be as a joke. I didn't mean it in a harmful way.
I don't think you meant it in a harmful way. But you took the car without permission.
Yes, and I apologized for it, and he said it was okay and forgave me.
When did you apologize?
Directly after I took his keys and took the car.
When you brought it back?
Yes.
Okay, so you didn't apologize before you took it. You took it and it was about what time?
9 p.m.
Okay, 9 p.m. And you've been hanging around for a while. So you've been hanging around since 3, so you were there between 5 and 6 hours.
Yes.
Anybody doing any drinking?
No.
Anybody doing any smoking?
Nicotine, yes.
Okay, but nothing other than that?
No.
Okay, so now it's 6 hours later, and you took the car. Where did you go with the car?
Up and down the street. I did not leave the neighborhood. I was out for maybe less than 2 minutes.
Did you hit anything when you traveled?
No, not at all.
Okay, and when you came back, he must have been annoyed.
Yes, he was.
Okay, so he's waiting for you outside.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Spencer, she took your keys. She acknowledges she took your keys without your permission. You went following outside after her, I assume.
By the time I was making it outside, she had started the car and started to back out.
Okay, so you were there, just a second, so you were there when she backed out of the driveway.
I was there as she had stopped getting out of the driveway and she was going forward.
She was in the process of taking your car, not returning it.
Correct.
In effect, she stole the keys to your car and your car.
Correct.
Okay, so now you're standing out in front of the house, in front of your friend's house, waiting for her to come back.
Correct.
How long were you standing there waiting for her to come back?
It was roughly...
Careful.
3 minutes.
3 minutes?
Correct.
So she didn't go very far.
No.
Now, did you see the car? It's not an answer.
Sorry.
You saw her pull away with the car.
For the first 200 feet, until she turned onto a new street.
200 feet you saw. And then you saw 200 feet when she was coming back, because she was out for 3 minutes, so you just stood there. So she didn't go, maybe she went around the block once.
Right.
Okay. And then she brought the car back. And what did she say when she got out of the car? She says she apologized to you.
Yeah, I was infuriated with the fact that she had taken the car because it wasn't the first time she had tried to do this. This was just the final time that she finally went through with it. And then when she had come, She had said, like, I'm sorry, this and that, because she could tell I was really mad. And at the time, I was just like, it's okay, because the next day was my girlfriend's birthday. I was trying to not keep the mood down and really just mellow, if you will.
Now, you said you were going to hang out someplace that day. Where were you going to hang out?
We didn't have any specific plans.
9 o'clock at night. Where did you go?
After that, we ended up driving down to Canyon Country.
Okay.
But my car
Just a second. You drove down to Canyon Country.
My car did not make it.
Sean Spencer claims his friend, Sierra Coya, owes for engine damage after she drove a sports car without permission.
Okay. You got into your car with your girlfriend.
Correct.
And how far did you get?
A couple miles.
So you drove it a few miles.
Yeah, probably about 4.
Now, how long did it take you to drive the car these 4 miles? Did it take you 10 minutes?
I would say more like 5 to 6.
6 minutes and 4 miles. That's going pretty fast.
Correct.
How fast were you going?
I think it's 55 there. I was going 55.
Okay. So let's say you were doing 55 miles an hour. And then what happened?
That whole 6-minute drive, I could not get much power out of it. It wasn't working.
You were
right.
traveling 55 miles an hour. That's power.
Yeah, but it wasn't like it wouldn't get there as quickly. It was having noticeable issues. There was sounds. I have a video of the sounds as well that was taken after that 6-minute drive. And it had started the second I got in the car and got worse and worse. That's why I pulled over, took the video, had all of that.
Okay.
And I had to get it towed.
And did you have it towed to his shop?
I took it to one shop first. It was a friend of my mother's. He gave us a quote for $7,200, and that was not in our budget. So then I ended up taking it to him.
Okay, and where did you find him?
This is my uncle, who also works for LAPD.
It's what?
He's my uncle.
He's your uncle?
Correct.
Stand up, sir. Is he your mother's brother?
No.
He's your father's brother?
Correct.
Okay. You have a shop, sir, or do you do this as a sideline?
I was a mechanic for 20 years, and now I'm...
That's not what I asked you. I asked you whether you have a shop, or is this a sideline?
Sure, I run a shop.
What kind of a shop?
The LAPD Central Division Police.
And what do you do for them?
I'm an automotive supervisor, so I supervise all the mechanics in charge of 1,300.
And did you, in fact, fix it?
I didn't do it personally. I diagnosed it and had one of my guys repair it. I didn't have the time to fix it.
You had one of the guys from LAPD do it?
Yes.
Where did he do it?
At his house.
How long did he have the car at his house?
About 2 weeks.
Did he present you a bill, or did he present your nephew with a bill?
Well, we bought the engine from an importer, and so with a bill, I just had him buy the engine from them, and then we just paid him.
Just a second. So you bought the engine secondhand?
Yes.
And how much did you pay for the engine?
45, 20, 25 cents.
And how much did you pay to put the engine in?
$700. $500 of that was for the labor.
Okay. Now, you heard, so you have a certain amount of expertise, I assume?
Yes.
Based upon what you told me. What was wrong with the engine?
It had a piston that had contacted a cylinder head and bent the valve, so it had low compression in one cylinder.
How does that happen?
Over-revving the engine.
Over-revving?
To put it in a drastic measure, if you're on the freeway going 70 and you're in 5th gear and you stick it in 3rd gear, what's going to happen? Your RPMs shoot up and the engine has too many RPMs, and it's not made to have that many RPMs. That's why there's a red line on your tachometer. You're not supposed to go over that. The mechanics can't function that, and it over-revs and it makes contact with each other.
When that happens to the engine, does the engine seize?
Well, it bent a valve, and so the valve just stays at the bad angle to where it can't seal the combustion chamber in the cylinder, and so that's one of the 4 cylinders doesn't make full power anymore.
But it has power.
You can drive it. It's still drivable, yes.
And it could go 4 miles.
You could probably drive it across the country, but yeah, you get poor gas mileage, check engine light would be on, and you'd have it'd be noisy.
Because it ultimately stopped, because your nephew drove the car about 4 miles at 55 miles an hour.
When I saw it, the car was still running, just making a horrible noise, and I don't know if it stopped on him or if he stopped it because of the noise.
Did you stop it because of the noise?
Yeah, I started to stop, and then as I was slowing down, I probably hit maybe 2 miles an hour, and as soon as all the lights came on the dash, and then it seized for the next 10 feet.
Okay. And Mr. Spencer, prior to the 28th of September, had you had any mechanical difficulty with the car?
Never.
You had never taken it to a mechanic or anything else?
No.
Okay.
It had no reason.
So the evening of this event was the first time you had heard this kind of a noise in the car?
Correct.
Didn't hear it when you got to your friend's house? Okay. Koya, is that how you pronounce your name? Miss Koya. So let me tell you this. This is the decision that I have to make. You can have a seat, sir. Thank you for your assistance. It is very hard, almost impossible, to say for certain that you caused damage to his car. I don't have to find that as a certainty that you caused damage to his car. I can look at circumstantial evidence. Now, if he had given you permission to take his car and you drove it, and 4 miles down the road when he's in the car starts to act up, I would have said, you know what? I really can't tell whose fault it was. He's traveling 55 miles an hour. You took the car because you've been hankering to take that car and have a test drive for a while, according to him, which I believe, because you stole the keys and stole the car. That's what you actually did. So it's a very easy decision for me.
Yes, but they did go to Ventura. They did drive that night to Ventura, and he was speeding that way. And
how do you know?
Because the way he drives. There's videos of how he drives.
Your problem is you stole his car.
Yeah, and he admitted into text that he was low on oil and the engine seized because he had no oil in it.
May I see the text that she's talking about? Who's?
A friend that was there with the group.
Well, you explained to what happened with the car. Now you can stand up, sir. You understand what I was telling her, that if I couldn't make a determination as to what caused this problem with the car, the fact that she took the car without permission makes my life easy. You would agree with that?
Yes.
But you would agree with the fact that if there was some other basis for the car to have malfunctioned, it wouldn't be her fault.
Yeah.
Could the car malfunction as a result of being low on oil?
There's millions of reasons a car could malfunction, yeah.
Was that, well,
That's
I'm not talking
what
about
happened.
millions.
Yeah.
I'm talking the problem with the engine.
A lack of oil can't make the piston hit the valve, no.
Well, so let me read you what he said to his friend.
I had sent that text after the first mechanic had looked at it.
So, first you write, every cop knows me now, so when they pull me over, they only give me speeding tickets of 60 miles an hour. What happened? So, it was low on oil, and the engine seized up. Ruined just about everything. It's beyond repair. In order to fix it, it needs a new engine, and then the labor and parts put in it, which is about $8,000 from what I've heard. Scrap yards only offer about $1,000 for the car. And he says, damn, I'm sorry. Does that sound familiar to you?
Sort of, yes.
Yeah.
John Spencer has accused his friend, Sierra Coya, of driving his sports car without permission and damaging the engine. Sierra claims Sean drives recklessly and damaged his own engine.
Why would you drive a car that was low on oil?
The first mechanic that had it looked at, that's what he said. But I drained the oil.
So, it was low on oil and the engine seized up. That's what the first mechanic told you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that wouldn't be her fault.
Correct.
Right?
However, it wasn't in need of any oil, and I check it on the first of every month.
Okay.
I had it serviced. Well, this was 4 months.
Do you understand? Do you understand what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying to you. You have any other texts for me to look at?
Yes, I have these two, and then the videos of him speeding.
He speeds, but I'll look at the video anyway, because I like to look at pictures. It's.
And then I also have
I don't know what this has to do with anything.
that they were speeding on the way there.
Oh, so the drive from Starbucks to Chick-fil-A. You went to Chick-fil-A?
Yeah.
Yeah.
These are other.
Yeah. Was supposed to be like 45 minutes. This is on September 15th. You following this, sir?
Yeah.
So the drive from Starbucks to Chick-fil-A was supposed to be like 45 minutes. We did it in 15.
It's impossible, but okay.
It's just him talking.
Yeah.
Cool. 109 miles for me the entire way.
That's my buddy's truck. We all rode in his truck, so that's him speeding. That's not me.
You rode in his truck?
Correct.
Just a minute. So when this is every cop knows me now.
That was me. That was in my
Yeah,
car.
every cop knows me now. So when they pull me over, they only give me speeding tickets for 60.
It was a joke because I'd gotten a speeding ticket, my first one, a couple weeks before. I got it at 2 in the morning after a closing shift for 60 and a 45.
Now I'm going to take a look at the video. did you get this video?
He sent it to the group chat.
He sent it to the group chat?
Yes.
What an idiot.
And there's multiple videos.
Oh, what an idiot.
It seems like they're all going about 50 miles an hour and it says 93. I mean, I'm not saying he doesn't speed or anything. But they all have their brake lights on. Semi-trucks can't go 93. He's going the same speed. So I don't know where that speed mile an hour is coming from.
He sent it on a group chat about his own car.
But common sense would say that truck isn't going 103 miles an hour.
What truck?
The semi-truck on the right of him that's going the same speed as him.
Are you making an excuse for that?
You can look at the video. If you think that's accurate, then that's fine. But
I'm just looking at how he's going, weaving in between cars. You think that that's reasonable?
No.
Do you know that when I am on a parkway and I see a moron like that weaving in between cars, all I say is, I hope they kill themselves alone and don't take anybody else with them. He shouldn't have a car. He shouldn't be driving a car. You shouldn't be stealing the keys to a car. So it's going to cost you $7,000 or $6,000 to fix the car?
Yeah, that's what I pay.
She's going to pay $1,000 for stealing it. You're going to pay the rest. Got it?
Got it.
Perfect. That's what happens. Because unfortunately, morons like you usually don't go alone. They usually take a family of 4 with them. So this one's going to cost you. You understand?
Yeah, I don't care.
You don't mind that, do you? Perfect.
Yeah.
Judgment for the plaintiff. Costs you $1,000 to take a joyride. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
I think it's unfair. She stole a car and broke it.
It was a good decision. I did apologize, and I accept I did what I did was wrong.
When the car broke down, the dashboard lit up like a Christmas tree. The sounds were loud and clanky.
He even drove to Ventura for 2 hours after that and was speeding the whole way there.
There's only the one video of me speeding, and it's inaccurate.
Like, I didn't think of it as stealing. I thought it was like a joke. I didn't really mean to like steal it or anything.
It's good, running, no problems, nothing. The mechanics did a great job fixing it.
Well, I'm obviously not going to do it again.
Keep it under 50.
I thought it was ridiculous. It was funny to me.
Do you know how furious I get, Sarah, when I'm driving on a parkway? And I don't drive myself on a parkway anymore. I just don't have the
reaction time.
That's bad. I don't have the reaction times that I did, and I feel a little tenuous. I like to drive in local streets where I know where I'm going. But when I'm on a parkway and I see these cars weaving in and out, speed limit is 55, so you're going 75 or you're going 80. But you're weaving in and out. And you're coming up on cars. They don't know that you're there.
I know that you hate that. I know that you do.
Because, you know, when you...
It tenses everybody else up.
When you
Everybody
pick
else
up a
gets
newspaper
nervous.
and you see what can happen.
Yeah.
Car can flip over if you're going too fast. Somebody could be fixing a tire on the side of the road. And I really just pray that if something happens, they go alone.
I know.
So this kid is bound for trouble.
Yeah.
The police pull me over now, and they only give me a speeding ticket for 60. Well, that means he's been pulled over for speeding numerous times because the police know who he is. I say to myself, I've been driving a very long time, and I'm not saying I've never speeded. 10 miles, maybe 8 miles over the speed limit, but I've never been stopped for speeding. Here's a kid who the police know by his first name.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Anyway.
Well, he slows down.
We were in an actual relationship for 5 years.
He took the dog, and you want the dog back?
Yes.
His anxieties were surrounded by her grandson because of the fact that he would beat him. He sprayed hairspray in the dog's eyes.
You don't make that up. I don't think he over-disciplined. This is not a tea party, madam. This is when you have to listen.
This is Judy Justice. Deborah Borelli is suing her ex-boyfriend, Osmond Brown, for harassment, personal property, and her dog, Luca.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge.
Hello, Kim.
Case number 3086, Barrio versus Brown.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Borelli, you and Mr. Brown, according to you, had a friend's relationship for about 10 years.
Well, we were friends for the past about 5. We were in an actual relationship for 5 years.
Which 5 years?
The first 5, from 13 to 18.
And you lived together, and according to you, in 2018, something happened, that relationship changed. However, according to Mr. Brown, he continued to reside with you.
Yes, he lived on the couch.
Well, whatever. He continued to reside.
Yeah.
You continued to reside together.
We stayed very good friends, yes.
Very good friends. You stayed together for 10 years.
Yes.
And then an incident occurred, you separated, and now each of you have a claim that the other has property that belongs to them. That's long and short of this case. One of the items, Mr. Brown, I see that absolutely adorable dog. Will the dog be just as happy on the ground?
I don't know. I will try.
Okay. One of the things at issue is that adorable little dog. So it is your claim that the dog belongs to you, that when you and Mr. Brown separated, it was an acrimonious separation, and that you were forced to sign a document that gave him the dog, he took the dog, and you want the dog back. You also want back from him something called an oculus. Sarah, could you pull up what that looks like for me?
This is what it looks like.
Okay. An oculus is something that you put over your eyes, and it takes you into another world.
Yes.
Is that what happens?
It belongs to my grandson,
Virtual
yes.
reality.
It's just
Well, hold on, what?
Virtual reality, they call it.
Do you use it?
No.
Do young people, kids use it? Is that what it's used
I think
for,
they're
Sarah?
popular. Pretty popular.
Popular?
Yeah.
Your other grandparents use it?
I don't think they'd be able to figure it out.
No. I know these grandparents don't use it. Do you have an Oculus?
My son has an Oculus.
And how old is he?
12.
12. Kevin, do you have an Oculus?
No, ma'am.
No. Out in the audience there, raise your hands if you own an Oculus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so that some people who are adults, not old adults, but adults, do have these toys. You don't use it.
No, ma'am.
Okay. And it is your claim that in addition to the dog, Mr. Brown took the Oculus that belonged to your grandson.
Right.
Mr. Brown said he was given the Oculus because your grandson broke his tablet. And you want a little money for some traveling that she did that she promised to pay you back for. Is that right?
We
Is that right?
Yes.
You want some money for traveling?
Yes.
Okay. So let's deal with the dog first, since that to me is the most important issue. By the way, Miss Burrell, where's your grandson?
back in Buffalo.
Who is this?
His mother and my daughter.
She doesn't live with you.
No.
But the grandson lives with you.
He did. He stayed.
He did?
He stayed
when
with
you were
me.
together.
He goes back and forth.
And how old is he?
16.
Okay. Because one of the things Mr. Brown says is that the 16-year-old isn't very good with the dog.
Well, the dog, he is a chewer. He's chewed up a lot of my grandson's things.
Luca has chewed up your grandson's things.
Several of his headphones and earbuds, and he's chewed up our shoelaces. And so he tries to discipline the dog, and I don't really discipline dogs.
So you wouldn't necessarily, as a dog owner, discipline your dog the same way as your grandson has disciplined the dog. Did he ever hit him?
I don't think he's hit him hard. I mean, I think he may have tapped him on the butt a couple times, maybe done his nose a couple times. I don't know. He was very frustrated that he was constantly chewing his stuff.
Okay. How old is this dog?
He will be 2 in April.
When you got him, you and Mr. Brown were living together.
Yes.
I must tell you, Miss Burrell, the dog looks very happy with Mr. Brown.
He was very happy with me, too.
May have been. I'm sure he wasn't happy when your grandson was disciplining him different from the way most normal people and adults would discipline a dog. Because Mr. Brown is certainly going to tell me about other instances of discipline that he observed that your grandson inflicted on the dog.
I'm not aware of any
Okay, but
other
you were aware enough, Miss Burrell, to tell me that in your home, the dog was disciplined in a way that you would never discipline a puppy, because a dog that's not quite 2 is still a young dog. Some chew things and some don't. All right.
Deborah Borelli claims her ex-boyfriend, Osmond Brown, owes for harassment, an Oculus headset, and the return of her dog, Luca. Osmond is countersuing Deborah for personal property and travel expenses.
Now, when was the dog purchased?
I got him on December 19th, 2022, as a birthday present for my other Pomsky. She's just like him and loves to play. And I have an old Shih Tzu that would not play with her. And then I came across a Facebook post about a woman who was getting rid of a dog that was swimming in her basement. Well, he lived in the basement. And when I contacted her, she said, I'll send you some pictures. And it was a couple pictures of Luca sitting on some stairs. And she said, oh, we went down in the basement the other day and the basement was flooded and he was swimming. I said, swimming? And she said, yeah, so we put him on the stairs. And I said, I'll be over.
So you took the
Osmond
dog.
and I went to look at him, and he made my other Pomsky a little nervous. So we went back, and Oz kept saying, you don't need another dog. She doesn't need a friend. She's got toys. You know, I said, I have to do something about this dog. The woman
And
was
Mr. Brown was with you?
Yeah.
Okay. So you went together?
To look. And he said no. So I came home, and I thought about it, and I kept in touch with that woman, and she said, if you don't take him, he's probably just going to go to a shelter. I talked to Oz again. I said, I have to go get this dog. I have to. He's living on stairs.
Okay.
And so I purchased him. He was not happy about it, but I purchased him.
For how much?
$240. It started at $500. I told her I couldn't do it, so.
Okay. Mr. Brown, do you need a tissue?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Brown, first, do you recall, sir, going with Miss Borelli to pick up the dog?
Yes.
Were you with Miss Borelli when she purchased the dog?
Yeah, I bought the dog. I gave her the money to purchase the dog.
And where did you get the money from?
I worked.
Okay.
At that time.
Does Miss Borelli work?
She worked periodically. I got her 2 jobs for a company that I worked with. They were contractual for 90 days. She did that twice. And then she worked for the census.
Okay.
Every 10 years.
He would like to go and say hello to her.
Yeah, I know. Okay.
Sweetheart. Okay. So when you went to pick up the dog, do you remember what month and year that was? Was that in December of 2022?
Yes, it was December of 2022.
And where did you take the money from?
My bank account at work.
Miss Borelli, who took out the money to pay for the dog?
He lent me the money.
Okay, so the answer is Mr. Brown paid for the dog then?
At that day, yeah.
Okay, fine. And when did you repay him for the money?
The following week.
Do you have any proof that you paid him back?
No, but he knows I did.
I didn't ask you what he knows. I asked you whether or not...
We didn't do receipts back then.
Okay, enough. You want to hold on to the dog for a second? Thank you. When you lived in the house for these 10 years, how much was the rent in the house?
There wasn't really rent. I pay a mortgage with my retirement from the post office.
Okay. And how much did Mr. Brown contribute towards that?
He had the gas and electric in his name.
Okay, so the gas...
And it varied.
Just a second. The utilities were in his name?
Yes. I paid the cable, the phone bill for 8 years, the mortgage.
Okay, there is a mortgage. And did he contribute anything towards the mortgage?
Not towards the mortgage, really.
But did he take money out of his bank or write you a check for anything other than the 2 utilities that you've said are in his name that he pays?
Yes, he gave me different amounts. At one time it was 3, 4.
So the answer is you actually lived in, as he put it, a domestic partnership for those 10 years.
It really was.
Okay, so let's be fair and easy about it. Now, Mr. Brown, what, if anything, did you observe with regard to Miss Borelli's grandson doing with the dog? By the way, the dog still chewing up your house?
I'm going to answer both questions, but first I'm going to answer the chewing of things first. The dog did have a problem chewing things because he had anxieties. His anxieties were surrounded by her grandson because of the fact that he would beat him. I'd sleep on the couch, like she said, for the last 5 years, I've been sleeping on the couch. When her grandson comes, he also sleeps on the couch. But sometimes in the middle of the night, like he's always on his computer doing something. So if he gets angry or something, he takes his frustrations out on the dog. The fact that I'm in the room and I'm sleeping and I let her know these things, she don't really discipline him. She just says, oh, this or oh, that.
He sprayed
hairspray in the dog's eyes one day and told her that he thought that it was his butt. That's what he told her. He thought he was spraying his butt. Why are you spraying his butt? You don't know his face from his butt, that you gotta spray him in the eyes?
What precipitated that?
I don't know. He's always trying to to do things to the dog.
Did you see it?
I heard the spray, and I heard the pss, pss, and I heard the dog doing this here with his eyes, so I know something happened.
Just
you smell it, you can see
Just a second. Did you confront her grandson about it?
Yes.
What did you say to him?
I said, don't spray this dog in the eyes. I even went and told her he's spraying the dog in the face with eyes. He said he thought it was the dog's butt.
Did you hear him say that?
Yeah, he told her that.
Okay. Yeah, you don't make that up, madam.
He wouldn't have heard the spray. He's in a complete...
What I'm telling you is he wouldn't have made up that story. Ms. Borelli, there are lots of stories that you make up. He's not that imaginative. There are a lot of ways that you can say you can abuse a dog, but spraying the dog in the eyes with spray, and then that remark that a 16-year-old wise guy might say, you don't make that up.
I told him a good way to discipline an animal, including a cat that's doing something bad, is you get a spray bottle and you fill it with water.
Yes. Just look at me. Don't look at him. You get a spray bottle and fill it with water, and?
And you can put it on a light mist and you spray them.
But this is not what he did. He didn't spray the dog with water.
I believe that's what he did.
No, that's not what he said. He didn't say spray the dog with water. But now we're getting to the fact that he did, in fact, spray the dog.
With water.
Okay, the dog is staying with him. Period. End of discussion. He paid for it, $240, and unless you have proof that you took out $240 that was paid for the dog...
He loves the dog
just a
so
second.
much. Why is he trying to sell it back to me for $3,000
just a second.
I sold that
Let me tell you something.
Deborah Borelli is accusing her ex-boyfriend, Osmond Brown, of harassment and wrongfully keeping her dog, Luca. Osmond is countersuing for personal property and travel expenses.
By the way, can I see the piece of paper that she signed giving you the dog?
Yes.
The top half was ripped off. There was more writing on the top half of that.
I will let Osmond Brown take my dog, Luca, in order to get Desmond to leave my home forever.
The top half says something completely different than
May I
ripped off.
I'd like to take a look at what you're showing me. This isn't this. This
no,
isn't.
I don't have that.
Well, this isn't it.
That,
this is
that
what,
shows you that
just
he's
a
trying to sell me the dog back.
If you want to buy it back, you can buy it back.
For $240?
Listen to me. He's got the dog. I will let him take the dog if he agrees to leave. That's what this document says.
Just for the day.
Just a second. That's not what this document says.
Because he's ripped it.
Just a second. You should have made a copy. It's ripped on both sides. Okay. Now, he wants the dog. He paid for the dog. As long as your 16-year-old grandson has access to your house, which you say that he does, the dog is staying with Mr. Brown. If it's his conscience as to whether or not he wants to sell it or not. Right now, the dog looks just fine. And I'm not sending this dog back to where there's a 16-year-old teenager who gets frustrated and takes out that frustration on a dog by over-disciplining the dog.
I don't think he over-disciplined.
This is not a tea party, madam. This is a ruling. This is when you have to listen.
Okay.
Kevin, get the dog and bring it to Mr. Brown.
Come on, come on, come on, come on. There you go, good boy.
Okay, now let's go to the Oculus. Mr. Brown, you have the Oculus.
Yes, ma'am.
And you don't use it. That's what you told me before.
I don't use it. I have...
Just a second. You don't use it?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so you're going to give it back to the grandson because she doesn't use it. It was the grandson's Oculus. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. Now we have a counterclaim. And your counterclaim is that when you had this argument, you left the house and you left some things there.
Yes, ma'am.
The most important thing in this collection, because I'm not getting involved in a collection of 3 sport jerseys or 2 T-shirts, I'm not getting involved with that, but you say you left your watch there. Where did you leave your watch?
It's in her bedroom. I have 3 watches there. One has a pink face, one has a blue face, and one is a Rolex that she gave me that the battery broke.
Okay. You don't mention any other watch but a Rolex.
Yes, ma'am.
And the Rolex was given to you by the plaintiff?
Yes, ma'am.
For what?
We were in a relationship.
Was it a birthday or a different event that you gave him the Rolex?
I didn't give him a watch.
Oh, can I see the watches, please? Whose watches were they?
I had bought them for an ex in New York City. We had gone to the Statue of Liberty and we were at Battery Park, and a man opened his raincoat and asked me, did I want watches?
Oh.
And I bought many of them.
Just a second. And these are the 2 watches that you bought?
Yeah, lots of them.
But these are the
$30
men's,
a piece.
But these are the 2 men's watches that you bought?
Yes.
Okay.
So he...
Shh. Would you turn these men's watches over to the defendant, please?
Thank you.
No, they're not his. I never gave them to him.
Just a second. I'm giving them to him.
No, you can't. There's 2 of them there. I wanted him. He doesn't even know which one it was, and they're counterfeit.
Just a second. I understand that, counterfeit, madam. You just explained that to me. When somebody comes over to you in Washington Square Park and goes like this, want a real Rolex? I would suggest to you that you know.
I knew they were counterfeit, and I bought them for an ex. And we were going through some jewelry, and he saw it.
Okay.
And he said, these are nice Rolex. They're not both his.
He's getting them both.
Oh
Both
my
fake
God.
Rolexes. He's getting both fake Rolexes for which you paid $30.
Okay.
Now, what other expenses do you think she's responsible for?
So we planned a trip to Atlanta with me and her grandson and my mom.
When?
So we were supposed to go on October 28th. It was a non-refundable trip. So once I paid for it. Once I paid for it, she's supposed to pay her $850. She never paid her $850 because when she got her money, she threw me out the house and said she's not going on the trip. So that's when I told her I need that $850 back.
Just a second. You paid the $850 for what?
To fly to Atlanta.
Oh, to fly?
To fly, yes.
To fly?
Yes.
Okay. And that was just on a vacation trip?
Yes.
Okay. Did you go?
Yes.
Who else did you go with?
My mother.
And you flew there?
Yes.
And you knew she wasn't going, so what did you do with her tickets?
I couldn't do anything with her tickets. I left everything there. I told her on the phone she could still go. It's still there for you. You could still go. She said, I don't want to be in the same hotel with you or something like that.
She's not going.
So,
okay, you're taking the dog home. I expect the Oculus to be packed and take it to a post office, box it, and send it back to her grandson. Now, you want it to go to your house? The Oculus, do you want to your house?
But how will I know that he's not going to break it?
You know, because I'm telling him not to break it, to put it in a box and send it back. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, don't break it.
I won't.
He won't. Okay, we're done here. He gets the dog, you get your Oculus. We're finished. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
It's the dog that's worth money, and that's why he wants it, because he's greedy and ruthless.
The only way I felt like I could help this dog is if I got her to sign him over to me so I could leave.
He's going to turn around and sell the dog. So it would be a beautiful Pomsky for sale.
No, this dog is part of our family. This dog is loved by 2 families now. He has a bunch of kids that love him and play with him, and either at my brother's house or at my house.
Because I rescued that dog. He did not want me to rescue that dog. That dog had a terrible life until I went and rescued him.
It's almost impossible to separate these domestic partnerships and property and what you spend.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have courts set up for divorces,
Yeah.
but you don't for living together as almost marrieds.
Yeah.
But the papers indicated that he took the dog, and there's no question. He didn't say he's taking the dog for one day because she wanted him to leave.
Mm-hmm.
And she said the condition was she would give him the dog if he left the house forever.
Mm-hmm.
That was in the paper.
Yeah.
And her statement that I was just giving him the dog for one day just doesn't fit with that. And he paid for the dog. The dog looks very well taken care of. And she acknowledged that the grandson did, in fact, abuse the dog.
Sure.
So it was a very easy decision. And the Oculus was made easy, actually, by him.
Yeah.
When I said, do you use the Oculus? He said, no.
Give it back to its owner.
Give it back to its owner. Anyway, living together is never easy when you have to dissect it and divide it at the end of the day.
Yeah. Danielle Flores is suing her former friends, Priscilla Ortiz and Jessica Aguirre, for false arrest, car damages, and emotional distress.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 3102, Flores versus Ortiz Aguirre.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, my God, this is like a series, like a 10-part series, so I have to try to simplify it. Miss Flores, you and these 2 ladies used to be friends.
Correct.
And between the 3 of you, you have 7 children?
Altogether about, yeah.
And the 3 of you have been friends for a while, and on September 1st of 2022, the 3 of you, along with your boyfriend, were hanging out at whose house?
My house.
With all the children?
Yes.
And you had to go out for a little while, according to what you said. I don't know where. Tell me where you went.
I went to see a friend. She needed me. There was some urgent. I was gone for 30 minutes.
So you went out for a little bit. And when you came back, according to what I read, you found that your boyfriend and these two gals were drinking.
Yes.
And you and the boyfriend sort of got into it.
Correct.
Excuse me. Sorry. It's incorrect that she was only gone for 30 minutes.
Let's say she was gone for 2 hours.
It was 2 hours.
Great. Good guess. Let's say it was gone for 2 hours, so you were drinking for 2 hours and not just a half
Your
hour.
Honor, we started at the pool.
Okay. And you threw him out.
Yes.
And the two of you left as well. One of you took the boyfriend home with them.
That's me.
That would be you. And when you brought the boyfriend home with you, according to you, he was upset and you wanted to console him.
Yeah.
Well, you consoled him. I bet. He's now your husband.
Yes.
And then on September 25th, Miss Flores was at a local bar.
The bar that Priscilla and I go to.
I don't want you to shout out anymore. Do you understand?
That's fine.
It doesn't help you.
That's fine.
She was at a local bar. And after she arrived, you two arrived. Is that correct?
Yes.
Had you ever been to that bar before?
This is the first time.
Why did you pick that bar?
Because it was far from my city, about 20-minute drive. I figured somewhere a little farther so I won't bump into the girls and end up bumping right into them.
So what you're saying is you did not know that this was a place where they frequented?
Yes.
Okay. Who takes care of all your little children when you're out bar hopping?
At this very...
Oh, sorry. I'm just asking a question. That's a name. Who takes care of all your children when you're out bar hopping at night?
I have a co-parent, so at that time it was my co-parent that was taking care of my children.
And what about you? Who's
my family.
Which family?
My siblings, my older siblings.
I live at home with my dad, so he's home with them.
Anyway, after you were there for a while, the two of them came in, and according to you, you decided to leave, that there was some bad air in the air, and you decided it wouldn't be a good idea. You went to leave, and according to you, they followed you outside.
Yes.
Your car was parked there?
Right in front.
Okay. So now I've set the stage. Now you tell me what happened when you left the bar.
I didn't really want to continue staying there after seeing the girls. I felt uneasy. Before I left, I noticed the girls were getting rowdy. The security then asked them to leave. The girls I did see in the corner of my eye walking across the street as security was yelling at them, leave or whatever they were talking about.
So were they outside or were
they were already going outside.
They were
being
outside?
pushed outside, yeah.
By security?
Correct, yes.
Okay, and you're still inside?
Yes.
Shh. Just for my own curiosity, why didn't you stay in the bar when they were pushed out? Why did you leave?
I just felt uncomfortable. I couldn't...
Well, they weren't... You understand my question?
Yes.
The threat was gone. They were now outside the bar. Why don't you stay in the bar?
I wanted to leave. Only the reason being is because it was getting closer for me to pick up my children. I felt it was best for just me to leave, and I was really not having fun.
What time was this?
This was it was getting close to midnight, so probably about 11:30ish.
Oh, okay, so now it's midnight. And how old are your children?
My daughter's 10 and my son is 5.
And they were with whom?
The co-parent, my ex-husband.
And you were going to pick them up at midnight?
No, I would make sure I picked them up in the morning, but I wanted to go home, rest, and so forth.
So you weren't going to pick your children up?
Not right away, no.
Okay, so there was no urgency for you to leave at that moment?
Yes.
Just setting the stage for where we're at. So now you're outside and you go outside and your car is parked right in front.
Yes.
Keep going.
I went outside to leave. I opened the driver door. As soon as I opened the driver door, Priscilla Ortiz jumps right in front of me in the vehicle.
That would be you.
Yep.
Not yep.
Oh, yes, Your Honor.
Better.
Sorry.
I was confused. I said, "What are you doing?" She goes, "You're not leaving. You're not going anywhere." As soon as that was said, I see in the corner of my eye was Jessica, and I felt other people around me. I then felt people pushing me and tugging me, and there is ongoing traffic right there. I was very scared. And then I had on my purse, it's a cell phone, my debit card, and so forth, and I have a key little weapon for self-defense that I do carry with me. That little weapon I had, and I told Priscilla, "Stay away from me." And I had it right in her front. I go, "Stay away from me." She lunged after me, and I did stab her with it. Then,
how many times?
From my understanding, twice at least. I don't think it was any more than that.
She didn't have a weapon.
No, she did not. But I had prior restraining order before that. She has been taunting me before that.
I don't care. She didn't have a weapon.
You're right.
And you stabbed her. Yes. As a matter of fact, you stabbed both of them.
Yes.
Okay, so now you stabbed Priscilla at least twice.
Correct.
Where had you stabbed her?
I believe on the back.
So she was still active, doing what?
Yelling at me. She
Yelling at you?
Yes.
Okay, and what did you do when she was yelling at you?
I backed up and I told him, let me leave, get out of my way, I want to leave. As I opened the driver door, Priscilla came right between me in the car.
And?
Then she started yelling at me, saying, you're not going anywhere.
Yes, and?
So then I backed away because other people were pulling me back. Then Jessica came and lunged at me, and that's when I lunged at her, and I did hurt her. And then I was trying to leave the situation. The girls were in front of me, and I squeezed through and jumped into my vehicle because the door was already open. After I seen Jessica...
Well, you stabbed only one. When did you stab the second one?
When I was being pulled, I stabbed, but I didn't know it was Jessica at the time. But I did stab somebody as I was being pulled back.
You stabbed her in the neck?
Yes.
Danielle Flores claims her former friends, Priscilla Ortiz and Jessica Aguirre, owe for car damages and emotional distress. Priscilla and Jessica are countersuing for injuries received when Danielle stabbed them.
Then you get into your car.
Correct.
And?
I got into the car. I drove, before I drove off, the car was going back and forth. I looked in the back window. I noticed that someone was breaking my windshield wiper, breaking the front of my windshield wiper.
Who was that?
It was Jessica's cousin or niece. She was there. She was breaking the windshield wipers and so forth.
And then?
I drove off. I drove 2 streets away and I called the police on myself.
So what are you suing them for? Somebody else damaged your car.
I have recordings of Jessica opening my driver door and kicking the steering wheel.
Okay, I would like to hear that recording.
Yeah. Okay.
You could see all put on there.
I just want to know where her
I didn't see anybody kicking your steering wheel.
Kicking the inside of my car. If you notice,
I didn't see anybody kicking inside of your car. You want to play that again?
Yes.
Maybe I missed it.
It's right here. You see Jessica, she's moving a lot. She's actually kicking the inside of my vehicle.
Okay. And then she gets out.
Correct.
Okay. And so I want you to show me the damage she did to your steering wheel.
Yes.
Because then you say you drove away. So you clearly drove away and the car was functioning. Let me just get this clear, Miss Flores.
Yes.
By the time she went in and kicked your car,
Yes.
and then she got out of the car and you got in and drove away, you had already stabbed both of them with a weapon, which neither one of them had, when one of them tried to prevent you from leaving by kicking your steering wheel. Am I getting this right?
Yes, you are, Your Honor.
That's funny. So let me understand this. You had a confrontation with 2 unarmed people. You stabbed them both. You suffered no physical injury. They're going to show me, because I had seen photographs in here of their injuries. One required 13 stitches, one required several staples as a result of being...
I got 30 stitches.
And you think that was okay?
I was self-defending myself. I have previous events of them constantly harassing me, Your Honor.
I don't
I
care.
have restraining orders against them. They kept harassing me.
Listen to me. You can't use a deadly weapon against somebody because you feel as if you're being harassed. But the first thing that was clear is if they had been harassing you and they were told by security in the bar to leave for whatever reason, because nothing happened in the bar because you felt uncomfortable. You just felt uncomfortable that they were there. So maybe they were rowdy, who knows? But then they were escorted out of the bar. And instead of you letting this situation sort of resolve and staying for a half hour until they left, you decided to leave at the exact same time as they were escorted out, or moments thereafter, because you wanted to get home and take a nap before you had to go pick up your children early in the morning. Am I getting that right?
You are, yes.
Yeah. Get out of here. You have a counterclaim.
Yes. Yes.
And your counterclaim is for being stabbed.
Yes, Your Honor.
I would just like to know, there was a trial on this?
Yes.
Against her?
Against her.
Was it a jury trial?
Well, we weren't really involved in anything for it. We got like phone calls, but they pretty much told us like, you don't need to go to court because there's nothing to do other than we already have your statements.
Did you have a lawyer? Because you were arrested for assault. You had to be arrested for assault.
Yes.
This was serious physical injury.
I did.
One of them was in the neck. You know, but for the grace of God, it could have hit an artery. It could have been dead. What happened with that case when you were arrested?
It got dismissed.
I want to see a certificate of disposition. I want to see what happened.
This is where it's dismissed. Those were the ones that were for dismissal.
I have to know more about this.
I have the police report of that.
No, I don't want the police report. I want to know what happened in court that caused it to be. Was it dismissed? Did you take a plea and do community service?
No.
Well, what happened?
They dropped it because I had a restraining order in previous events with Jessica and Priscilla.
Where does it say that here?
When we were at court, they didn't show up multiple times. I didn't get my release until November. I was out on OR until November 22nd.
Okay. I asked you to show me a picture just for closure.
For the vehicle.
Kevin, would you just show me pictures of the steering wheel that she wants to show me?
Yes, they're all in there.
Just steering wheel. Now, who wants to tell me what happened?
Your Honor, we were not escorted out of the bar. The night everything happened on September 25th. So we were just in the front of the bar. We were not escorted out.
Did anybody ask you to leave?
No, nobody asked us to leave.
How come you decided to leave? You had just gotten there.
We didn't leave at all.
You didn't leave?
No. Nobody asked us to leave. We didn't feel any type of way of being
Fine.
there.
So now you're at the bar,
and? And so we had gotten our drinks, and we were already there for a while until we noticed that Miss Flores was there. And so once we noticed that she was there, we still, were just
stayed.
like...
Come, faster.
And then
Faster.
so we stayed, and towards the end of the night, which was already past 1:30, almost 2 is closing time. So we were still right there, and we were right there by the front of the bar. When Miss Flores had walked past me, she had mumbled something, then I had asked her what she mumbled. Somehow we were going around her car, and...
No, just say you're at the bar. How do you get around her car when you're in the bar?
Like she mentioned, she was parked in the front.
So she was leaving. Follow me carefully.
Danielle Flores is accusing her former friends, Priscilla Ortiz and Jessica Aguirre, of damaging her car and creating a false arrest. Priscilla and Jessica are countersuing, claiming Danielle stabbed them multiple times.
She was leaving.
She was leaving.
Passing you in the bar.
Yes, correct.
And she was leaving. Then she said something to you, mumbled something under her breath.
Yes.
You said, what did you say to me? Blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
She's still leaving. She goes outside.
Yes.
Did you follow her outside?
No.
Yes.
Did you? I don't want to hear you. Did you go out after her?
We were already in the front.
I don't understand what you mean in the front.
Well, because the front of the bar has an inside and outside. And the front has where you can, kind of hang around. So that's where we were. But we were not escorted out. We were not.
I didn't ask you whether you were escorted out. I'm trying to get a timeline. Right now, she passed
she said
you.
we were escorted out and we weren't.
Did you understand what I just said to you? I'm past that.
Yes.
Right now, all I'm dealing with, how much of this whole mess and getting stabbed was instigated by the two of you. That's what I'm trying to figure out. How much of it was your responsibility of getting involved with her? Because it doesn't look like the kind of person who would just take out a knife and stab you. So now we're outside, and I want to find out how you got outside. She was going outside. Did you follow her to her car?
Your Honor.
How did you get to her car?
We were already outside.
You don't answer my question, I'm going to dismiss your case. Do you understand that?
Yes.
That's easy for me. If something doesn't make sense, it's not true. You said you were at the bar. Yes. She passed you. You were sitting at the front, clearly towards the entrance, because you said it was half inside, half outside.
Yes.
So she was passing you on her way out. She mumbled something to you as you were at the bar.
Yes.
You said, what did you mumble? She's going out to her car.
Mm-hmm.
How did the two of you get to her car?
By
From
walking.
the bar.
By walking.
Right after her.
Yes.
No, Don't speak
You're right.
right after her, so that you followed her out of the bar.
Yes.
Okay. Why?
Because she mumbled something and I wanted to confront what she mumbled, and previously we're already having altercations.
Well, then that would make you very stupid.
Okay.
That would make you very stupid to follow her out after you had had many altercations. You had been in the bar for a while. Everybody's drinking. You followed her outside. She was leaving. What about you?
We were still inside. Priscilla goes and follows to where she's going with the guys that she was with. And then he starts to kind of like go towards Priscilla to grab her.
Who sort of goes to Priscilla?
The man that Miss Flores was with.
Who was following her out of the bar?
Yes.
So he goes to prevent her from following her out of the bar.
At that point,
that would be a yes.
Well, because they're both arguing with each other.
That's okay.
Yeah.
She was following her out of the bar.
Yeah, but she was just sitting there yelling at her. They're both yelling at each other. And then
They wouldn't have been yelling at each other if she hadn't have followed her out of the
You're
bar.
right.
Of course I'm right.
So
now they're yelling at each other.
They're yelling at each other, and to me, there's no reason for him to put his hands on her. So when her cousin and I saw that, we went up to confront him. We're like, hey, you need to leave her alone because they've had altercations in the past. So we were like, hey, you need to leave her alone, stay out of it. And then everyone starts arguing. Them two are arguing. We're arguing with the guy. And then everything gets moved over to her car. And then that's when everyone's yelling at each other. And then out of nowhere, she strikes me. And then there's so much going on. I looked down and I felt wet. And I just touched myself. My hands covered in blood. My outfit, as you could see in the video, was covered in blood. I hadn't touched her. We were arguing, but I have the police report here where she states that she did not have any injuries. And then
Just a second. She didn't have any injuries. And there was no cause for her to stab either one of you, based upon what I saw, based upon what she told me. There was a lot of verbal screaming back and forth, but there was nothing that I heard or saw that suggested that in self-defense, she took out a knife and stabbed the both of you. Absolutely nothing. So, Ms. Flores, your case is dismissed, where you're asking for damages to the steering wheel. And on the counterclaim, I'm awarding the defendants $10,000 as they request. I have no idea why they dropped this case. Either your lawyer knew somebody or the judge was taking a nap. But there is absolutely no basis to use a deadly weapon.
I was self-defending myself. I have restrainers. She keeps calling me, even to this day.
Listen to me.
Your Honor.
Listen to me.
Your Honor, please.
I don't care if you have restraining orders, madam. Don't you understand? You cannot use a deadly weapon when somebody is yelling at you. People that you know, people that you have a history with. You can't use a deadly weapon. And nothing in the story that you told me gave you reason to pick up a knife and use a deadly weapon. The history that you may have with them is an entirely different thing.
Please, let me please explain what happened previously to these events and the ongoing harassment that Priscilla still taunts me.
Listen to me. If she taunts you, file a violation of the protective order.
Okay.
That's what you do. You don't stab them.
I had it for self-defense because I was still scared of them.
That's my judgment. Your case is dismissed, $10,000 on the counterclaim. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
I do feel scared to this day of how she torments me as well as her family members.
We were all friends, and then she's just not a good person that we wanted to be associated with.
But Jessica, the fact that she did follow me outside the vehicle, I know a weapon was not a choice to have, but it was something that I felt unsafe with because of the constant of them harassing me prior to this event.
I just looked down and I was covered in blood, and I just started freaking out.
Definitely no more seeing each other. I hope with the relocation within the apartments, it will be a better peaceful environment for me and Priscilla, and definitely go from there.
Justice was served.
Exactly.
She didn't deserve
I'm glad she was
to take advantage of us again.
I don't think I would have granted the defendants all of the money that they were seeking in their countersuit, because in her story, when she was laying it out to you, she admitted that she knew that there was a restraining order against her held by the plaintiff.
You mean the defendant?
The defendant. So the second that they entered that bar and then realized that the plaintiff was there, they're under a legal obligation to leave, and you did not leave.
So therefore, I think that no one deserves to be stabbed. You cannot just stab people.
Yeah.
That is not something you can do.
But they were under an obligation.
They were under a legal obligation to leave. Not to say they should not have been compensated for being stabbed under the circumstances.
She had no basis, except that she said she had prior harassment.
There is a proper course of recourse for when someone violates a restraining order, none of which includes
stabbing them in the neck.
Maria Gonzalez and her son, Noe Ramirez, are suing Maria's daughter's ex-fiancé, Michael Cortez, for wedding costs and vandalism to Noe's car.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 3108, Gonzalez Ramirez versus Cortez.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're Miss Gonzalez.
Yes, I am.
This is your son.
Yes, Your Honor.
That's your daughter.
Yes, Your Honor.
Your daughter and Mr. Cortez were engaged to be married.
That's correct.
How old is your daughter?
She's 28.
And you, sir?
27.
How did you meet?
We had met on a dating app back in October 2020.
Okay. And when did you become engaged?
It was sometime in 2022. It might have been around April.
Did you give her a ring?
I did.
Your Honor, they were engaged in September 2022.
Did it sound better?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, this is what the case is about. Miss Gonzalez, it is your claim that wedding plans started to be made, you were paying for the wedding, and he broke off the wedding and broke off the marriage, future marriage, and you believe he is responsible for the non-refundable deposits that you put down on venue and maybe music, flowers, I don't know what. And that's part of your claim. You, sir, are her son, her brother, and it is your claim that Mr. Cortez vandalized your car.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Cortez denies that he vandalized your car. So I will hear your proof with regard to that. Mr. Cortez says that there is some property. Your harassment allegations don't reach the level of harassment, sir, but you claim that they have certain property that belongs to you.
Yes, and I do have a text message from Kristen Ramirez stating to one of my friends that she has my property and has refused to give it.
Oh, so that will make my job much easier when I get to your counterclaim. Okay, so Ms. Gonzalez, you started to plan a wedding.
What happened was they came in and they spoke to Kristen's father and myself. They announced their engagement. And so we congratulated them. We said we would pay for the majority of the cost, but that we did have some things that we wanted them to pay for.
That's okay.
So at the time, I wasn't too familiar with Michael. And so just as precaution, I did ask him if he would be okay if he broke off the engagement, that he would reimburse for the venue, because the venue is something that is not always reimbursed.
Did you ever have that discussion with her?
No.
I can't tell you how many weddings that I've made, Miss Gonzalez. Children, grandchildren, made and paid for. I have never had that discussion with any of the future spouses. If you break it off, you have to reimburse me for down payments.
It was
I never.
Just the way that he was acting, it made me feel like I needed that reinsurance.
I don't believe you, actually, at all. Because if I, as a mother, you have two children?
Yes, I do.
If you have two children, if I had certain reluctance about either the character or the commitment that one of my children's future mates have, it wouldn't be about returning my money. I would sit down with my daughter and say, you know, I'm not getting a great feeling about this guy. I have a feeling he's going to slip. And if I had a feeling I was going to slip, and if you wanted to extract that promise to him, should have put it in writing. Right. Because it doesn't make sense to me, based upon my own personal experience, that that's not the way a new marriage starts with, by the way, if it doesn't work out, you're going to pay me back for this, right?
Right. Well, my means are limited, so.
So are his.
Yeah. And so what we did was we had an agreement. We asked.
Just a second, show me.
We
show
had
me.
a verbal.
Just show me. Well, I'm telling you, I don't buy it. But I'm going to listen to him.
Okay.
And I'm going to listen to any proof that you have.
Okay.
See any proof that you have where he committed to paying for the wedding in the event that he broke up the engagement.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay? She just told me that you said to her at some point, I will pay for your non-refundable stuff if something happens. Tell me your version of it.
So what she said is not true. What happened was on the night of October 1st, I had gone to her house to speak with Kristen, my girlfriend at the time. I wanted to talk to her about a prenup. My witness here.
Just a second. You wanted to talk to her about a prenup. Why?
Earlier in the year, Kristen made demands towards me saying she wanted to buy a house, but she only had $200 in her savings account and I had $40,000. So she was expecting me to make the down payment. And at the time I had savings, I had 2 cars, I have a master's degree. She was kind of expecting me to provide for her. And at the time I did not feel that was fair.
You mean that you were going to use your cash to buy a house?
Yes.
That was going to be in both your names?
Yes.
And you wanted a prenup so that you would get whatever you put into the house out of it. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, because at the time she was pretty much telling me where we had to buy the house. It had to be within a certain...
Just a second. Would you sit down a minute and let your sister stand up?
Yes, Your Honor.
You're Kristen?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Kristen, I want you to tell me about this house business. You had no money.
I don't have savings, but I had a job.
But you don't have money. You don't have savings. He had savings. You were living with your parents. You discussed with him buying a house?
We did in the future. It wasn't about buying a house. We had to have some form of living situation when we get married. That was the expectation. And that's what my mom discussed with him too, was that it wasn't him needing to buy a house then and there and in a certain area. We just needed to be able to live somewhere because we're getting married. How are we going to live in like our
you work, you just told me, and he works. So you find an apartment and you each contribute to the rent and the expenses.
Yeah.
Is that what was the intention?
Yeah, and we're both on the lease agreement and I did pay half. Or I paid as much as I could.
Did you live together?
We lived together, and then my brother also offered to be on to kind of help with costs too. So it was
kind of help with costs. You mean he lived there?
He also took up the spare bedroom.
Well, that would be a yes. He lived there.
Yeah.
So I have a copy of the lease. It's myself, Maria Gonzalez, and Kristen Ramirez at the time.
Okay, so you're on the lease.
Yes, I co-signed for him because he was hesitant in getting and securing a housing. We had less than 2 months, Your Honor, for the wedding. And I was very truthful with him, and I told him, you cannot live in our house. You need to secure housing. That was our agreement in the beginning, that you would be responsible for housing. I never said anything about buying a house or anything. It's just
you got a butt out of your children's business. You have a 28-year-old daughter. What are you giving him instructions for?
Because, Your Honor, he wasn't doing anything. He had a room.
Well, that's up to her.
Right.
That's not up to you. I mean, your daughter's almost 30. Why is that up to you when she's got a fiance? She's got to figure out what she's going to do with him. What did you have to do with that?
When we were discussing the wedding, we did say these were the expectations. You were to have a place for them to stay. It didn't matter where they were going to stay. I never said anything about you have to buy a house or you need to get an apartment or anything. It's just a stable
What
place.
other expectations did you indicate to him that you were expecting?
That he pay for the wedding license and that he pay for his clothing. That's the only thing that we asked.
You mean for the license and for his clothing for the wedding?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Maria Gonzalez and her son, Noe Ramirez, claim Maria's daughter's ex-fiancé, Michael Cortez, owes for wedding costs. Michael is countersuing for the return of property and personal threats.
Okay, you were telling me a story, and let's get to it rather quickly, because what day is it today, Wednesday? Wednesday. Something about sushi for lunch on Wednesday. So you went to the house to discuss a prenup.
Yes.
And what happened?
Originally, at the time, me and Kristen agreed that we wanted to do a prenup, and this was something that she discussed between myself and my dad a year ago. At the time, Kristen was the one who wanted the prenup.
Because she was going to inherit a house?
Yes.
What house were you going to inherit?
I just want to correct that I did not discuss a prenup with his father when we discussed the
No, you discussed it just the two of you.
It was between us and my therapist.
There was a breakup, Your Honor, in February, and it was between them.
Okay. We're going to forget about these wedding costs. I could see the handwriting on the wall a long time ago. You should have too.
Your
Would you
Honor,
tell me? Forget it. Not happening.
I do have messages that he was offering his Mercedes for payment reimbursement for the wedding.
Okay.
I do have.
I'll take a look at that. Would you mind telling me what happened when you went to the house to talk about the prenup? That's what you were in the middle of.
Yes. So we had discussed about wanting to do a prenup, and we agreed. And then about 20 minutes later, the mom came in to the apartment, started blowing up on me, saying, "How dare I make her daughter work? How dare I make her daughter pay rent? How dare I force her to sign a prenup?"
Okay. Kristen, you remember that discussion?
It was not.
Do you remember the discussion?
Yes.
All right. Just answer my question. These very easy.
Okay.
Things are common sense. You were having a discussion with him about a prenup. Originally, you wanted a prenup because of an inheritance that you anticipated. What inheritance did you anticipate?
I anticipated my father giving me a house.
And is that what started the prenup discussion?
No.
Did you ever discuss that with him?
No, not till that night.
I'm talking about that night. Do you remember that discussion?
Yes.
Did your mother come in during the course of that discussion at any time?
We went to his apartment, to our shared apartment.
Who went?
She came in. Me and my mother. He had left our house to the apartment.
So he went to the apartment, and you and your mother went to the apartment. And do you recall what your mother was indicating to Mr. Cortez as regard to the expectations she had, or the two of you had, with regard to what he was going to do to take care of you?
Yes.
And what did your mother say?
She sat him down and she said that the way he had been acting up until this time was not acceptable, that it was originally stated that if he was having cold feet, we gave him multiple times if he wanted to postpone the wedding, that he could. And he kept saying, no, I want to keep going with the wedding date, even after we had broken up and he wanted to come back. And my mom reiterated to him that he was supposed to pay for the venue if he forfeited the wedding. And she was discussing with him the verbal abuse that she witnessed leading up to this event, because he knows I have really bad anxiety, and that she did not like seeing him use that against me when it came to me driving, when it came to me trying to find a better job, when it came to like trying to provide for the family. I tried my best as much as I could. And that's what she discussed with him on that night. It had nothing to do with all these expectations. It was just, I needed help being able to speak for myself, because like, I don't know if you can see I'm shaking. Like, I need help sometimes in order to help myself. And that's what she was here for.
He wasn't buying it. Do you understand? It's too bad. You said you had proof in writing that he somehow, someplace agreed to pay for the deposits that you had. I'd like to see what proof you have of that.
Yes, ma'am.
Just show me.
Yes, ma'am.
Don't show me anything other than that. Just show me that.
Yes, ma'am. Now, the first one is
Just a second. Who wrote this?
Michael Cortez.
He wrote it?
Yes, and he
Okay.
left it in my mailbox.
October 13th, 2020, I paid for the down payment for a home for me and Kristen. Both names on it. I would be putting down 40 to 50K. If we have kids, it'll go to them. To compensate for the wedding, I would be willing to financially support Kristen if she needs to focus on herself. Whether it's bills or rent, I would be willing to help. In addition, I would pay for a new wedding. I don't know what that means.
Your Honor, I never wrote that letter.
This?
Correct. I never wrote it or signed any letters.
He placed that in my mailbox.
Kevin, would you go over this? Give him this pen, and I want you to write the following. I don't want to throw away. Okay, that's all. Yeah, you wrote it. Well, this is a very nice letter. I don't know why you would deny writing this letter. This is a very nice thing. He does not say he's going to pay for a wedding.
He said he would pay for another wedding.
No, a new wedding.
On the text messages that he sent.
Just a second.
Yes.
Now I'm going to read the text message. This is nothing except a very nice letter from him. No, doesn't say here that he's going to pay for a wedding. He wants to make it work out He would love that so much. I can offer my Mercedes since the front bumper is fixed and valued at $10,000. I would be willing to do couples therapy with Kristen, pay her bills, and do everything I can to make it right, only if this is what Kristen wants. I'll even sign contracts so we are all on the same page, but I understand you don't want me in her life. And if she feels the same way, I want my pictures taken down tonight. So this does not support your argument. If you're not going back to me because of the money, I can give you the Benz. It's worth $10,000. What's that about?
I'm not too sure, Your Honor.
Can I ask you a question, Mr. Cortez?
Yes.
These emails suggest to me that you were very much in love with the plaintiff's daughter.
Yes.
And you wanted to make it work.
Yes.
And how did it not work? What happened?
The night of October 1st, when the mom blew up on me, she made all these threats towards me about legal action, physical harassment.
And is that when the wedding was called off?
Yes.
He says that I threatened him. I did not threaten him.
Whether you threatened him or not, you went there with your daughter.
I did.
And at that point, after this discussion, after these emails, which I see, and because he clearly felt strongly for your daughter, that's when the wedding was called off.
Yes.
Well, he didn't walk away.
Yes, he did.
I don't think so. Yeah.
He left that day, that night after our discussion. He took everything out of the apartment and he left, Your Honor.
Okay.
He left a note that said, "I'm sorry," with his wedding ring on the pillow on the bed.
Fine. I would too. Don't get involved if your daughter's getting married, and I wouldn't do it if your son's getting married either. It's none of your business. Stay out of it. Keep your nose out of it. You can sit down now. Stand up. Noe.
Yes.
You were living in the apartment with Mr. Cortez that your mother co-signed for when your sister was supposed to get married and blah, 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 blah. You went to live with him?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you say that something happened to your car. On what date did something happen to your car?
It was the 27th of November.
Of October. November.
If you don't speak, that's your problem. You get too much involved in your adult children's business.
Maria Gonzalez and her son, Noe Ramirez, are accusing Maria's daughter's ex-fiancé, Michael Cortez, of refusing to pay for deposits after their wedding was canceled. Michael is countersuing for the return of property and personal threats.
Okay, November 27th.
Yes, Your Honor.
When had you seen your car prior to seeing it damaged?
That morning. I have pictures right here, if you'd like to see them.
I would, but first tell me what the nature of the damage was.
It was you scratched into the trunk of my car, and my back right tire was slashed.
And what evidence do you have that the defendant had anything to do with that?
We don't make enemies. Like, we don't have enemies. He's the only person.
Is what you're telling me you have no evidence to support your accusation that he keyed your car?
We do not have video footage, no.
I didn't ask you for video footage. I asked you for any evidence. Somebody saw it. He admitted it.
No, Your Honor.
Okay, well, then you don't have a case. You understand that, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
What did he owe you $1,000 for?
The $1,000 was for the damage to the car.
Did he ever acknowledge that he would give you $1,000?
No, Your Honor.
Oh, then he doesn't owe you anything. Okay, I can deal with that quickly. I have a counterclaim. The counterclaim says that they have property of yours. What property do they have?
Kristen Ramirez had sent a text message to one of my friends claiming that she has my property. I don't know exactly what all she has. She's refused to talk to me.
Just a second.
Yes.
You can sit because your case is dismissed. You actually understand that because you have no proof that he caused any damage to your car. Kristen, stand up, please. Before I take a look at the text that he has, what property, if any, do you have that belongs to him? Is not an answer. Let's go. What property do you have that belongs to him?
I believe he left a birth certificate at my house.
Where is it?
It was in the safe in my room.
So you have his birth certificate. What else?
I'm not too sure what else he left in there. He's the one that put them in the safe.
He says he has a list, which I will look at, that you sent to someone of items of his that you have. And I'm asking you, before I look at the list, what other items of his do you have?
Other than that, I have no idea. I haven't
Okay, now I'll see the document that you're referring to. She's going to give you back your birth certificate.
Okay, I have it. It's going to be this message.
So far, I don't see what it is.
Right. It's not listed in there. She just acknowledges that she has my stuff. She kept it vague.
She's going to give you back your birth certificate. It's sort of misleading, sir.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now we're going to get back to one other little thing that's gnawing at me before I finish this case. So with regard to your belongings, she's going to return to you within 5 days. Make sure it's sent and doesn't get lost in the mail. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any paper she has that's in your safe, including your birth certificate. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Now, I just want to get to this Mercedes-Benz. What was the Mercedes-Benz that you were offering for, sir? I can turn over the Mercedes-Benz. I want you to tell me something that I can believe.
Your Honor, I'm not too sure. I do have a receipt from the wedding venue that I emailed. They said that even if she were to cancel, she is, they accommodate with rescheduling. So it's not like she's out of all her money.
But she's just got to find another groom.
I mean, she could always throw a birthday party.
No, she can have another groom. You still haven't given me something that I believe with regard to the Mercedes-Benz. You mentioned it several times.
To be honest, Your Honor, I'm not too sure.
Okay. Well, you know, I usually don't like to split the baby in half, but it seems to me as if that there is some evidence that you agreed to participate in the event that something happened with the venue. And I don't necessarily think that you are 100% responsible for the breakup of this relationship. I think there was a lot of problems and interference on both sides. How much was the venue, the non-refundable venue, cost?
$7,050.
Okay. Mr. Cortez,
yes.
While it's usually not my practice to leave anybody happy that comes into my courtroom, I like when everybody is miserable when they leave.
Yes, Your Honor.
But she had $7,000 worth of expenses as a result of this wedding. And I actually think that it's fair that you each pay half of that. So I'm issuing an order for $3,500 for the plaintiff. She's going to return all of your papers and documents that she has. This case is now over.
This court is adjourned.
The mom made all these threats and harassments towards me. And that's exactly why I left the wedding.
He's not man enough to be my daughter's husband.
This is a woman that I was going to spend the rest of my life with, and she let her mom ruin the relationship.
I feel that God gave us a blessing in removing this piece of trash out of our lives.
I want to move on with my life, so as long as I can get out of my hair, I'd be happy with that.
There is someone better for my daughter out there.
I tell you, that was very sad. Not legally sad. It was a socially sad case because I think he really legitimately cared for her. I mean, the letter that he wrote, and he clearly wrote it. I don't know why he would deny that he wrote it.
Did a little forensic testing out there of your own?
Yeah, you're right, a little forensic testing. I know that's particularly kosher, but it looked right. But it was a really kind letter.
Yeah.
He did, in fact, talk about the Mercedes. This was before he left. He said, I don't want there to be this fighting back and forth because evidently it was clear that this was not the first breakup that they had. And it was very sad, and she, I think, actually cared for him a great deal.
Yeah.
Mama.
Too many hands.
Mama got in the way. She was trying to be very protective of her daughter, who clearly has an issue or two. But she was clearly trying to be protective and...
Went a little overboard.
Listen, if I were a young guy, and he's actually a year younger, I think than his ex-fiancée, I would be worried about that lady being in my life on a permanent basis. Yeah. He gave you a dog.
Correct.
And then took the dog back.
Stole the dog back, yes.
I object. He was just watching the dog for me.
He had the dog for 4 months, feeding it, taking it to the vet.
Why would I give him a $10,000 dog?
I don't give a rat's behind.
Dog is good, it's my dog.
I don't give a rat's behind. Do you understand?
This is Judy Justice. Anthony Williams is suing his family friend, Michael Bowers, for stealing his French bulldog.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge.
Hello, Kevin.
Case 3103, Williams versus Bowers.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Williams, your case is a relatively simple one. It is your claim that Mr. Bowers, who you knew, gave you a dog.
Correct.
And then took the dog back.
Stole the dog back, yes.
Took the dog back and refuses to return him. It's a male dog.
Yes.
The defendant says you were just supposed to watch this dog temporarily because he breeds dogs and he and his family were moving and they moved into a place where they couldn't keep dogs, but that he could keep dogs. And he says right now he doesn't even have the dog, whose name is Gizmo, because he breeds dogs with a partner. And the dog has been at this partner's house for breeding for how long?
It's been a few months now, ever since I got the dog back from Anthony.
You have to know something. I know something about dog breeding. And I know that a male dog doesn't have to stay there during the course of an entire breeding of the 63 days that it takes to gestate a puppy. Because I know that you modified your answer, and your modified answer to his complaint is, I don't even have the dog, and I can't interrupt the breeding of the dog, which takes months, and that's baloney. So I want you to know that I know that's baloney.
Yes, Your Honor. We was breeding the dog with multiple dogs. So we have a boy dog, and we have 3 females. So we breeded with one, and it was like a process. We just kept them together. That's why they...
Now you're going to get them back. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Your friend's name?
Logan Jean Pierre.
Sarah's going to find him. Telephone number?
I have it in my phone.
Get it. Get ready, Miss Rose.
Oh, it's gone.
All right, 678.
Now put the phone down. Now tell me where he lives, because he's your partner, so you have to know where he lives.
In Norcross, Georgia.
Okay. Sarah Rose.
Sure.
Where'd you go give this fellow a call?
Sure.
And find out what the status of Gizmo is.
Sure.
Okay, now I'm coming to you, Mr. Williams.
Yes.
So while Sarah's getting that information, this is what your case is about. According to you, he contacted you. He said, can you take care of this dog? Do you want this dog?
Yes.
We're moving and we can't keep the dog. You said yes. When did that happen?
He called me on April the 12th of 2023.
And you knew the dog. What kind of dog is it?
It's a French Bulldog.
How much does it weigh?
I think when it's 28 pounds.
So that's called a Frenchie. They're small
Yes, a
dogs.
Frenchie.
They're Frenchie. They're small dogs.
Yes.
Do you have a photograph?
Yes.
May I see it? And you knew Mr. Bowers how?
He's a family friend.
I'm calling in regards to Michael Bowers and a dog.
How many dogs did you have on April 12th, 2023?
I have 2 dogs that I own myself.
Males or females?
Both of them are males.
And your partner, how many females does he have?
I don't really know. The last time I saw was 2 there.
When was the last time you went over there?
I was over there a couple of weeks ago.
Cute. How old is the dog?
He's 2 years old.
Okay. When, for the first time, did Mr. Bowers indicate to you that he wanted the dog back? He said he wanted the dog back for breeding.
That would have been in July, but he was only supposed to have the dog for 2 days.
Just a second. So for a full 4 months, you had the dog.
Yes, ma'am.
Now tell me what happened in July.
Can I go back a little bit before that? The defendant, when he delivered the dog to me, the dog was in bad condition. I had to bathe the dog. I had to take him to get his nails cut. He had no shots, so I had to spend hundreds of dollars taking him to the vet to get his shots, and I have the paperwork from the vet.
I have shots for the dog. The dog already had shots before he got there.
Oh, I'd like to see that.
Also, Your Honor, I got extra shots for the dog because when I spoke to the vet for a French Bulldog, since they have smashed in faces,
Just 1 second.
You asked Mr. Bowers to take Gizmo then because you had the other male. How many female dogs do you have?
These are from 2021. The dog was just born in 2021.
That's the last shots that we had.
Those are puppy shots.
My business partner does the shots himself. He does a lot of...
You know, this is not going to fare well for you. I don't think. Not that I'm prejudging. Okay, so tell me what happened. So now you took care of the dog, cleaned the dog up, brought the shots up to date, and...
And also, he was a 2-year-old dog. When I got the dog, he was not housebroken at all to be a 2-year-old dog.
Okay, so it's clear if the dog wasn't housebroken, the dog was kept crated most of the time. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And the person with whom Sarah is now commiserating on the phone, he also keeps the dog crated because the dog wasn't housebroken.
Yes, ma'am.
That's a yes.
The dog is for business purposes.
I don't care what the purposes are. I just want to know how long this 2-year-old little French Bulldog is kept in a crate, is what I asked you. By the way, I have to get some stuff in here so that you understand how business this is. You come from Georgia, correct?
Yes.
And we flew you here.
Yes.
And I assume you want us to fly you back.
Yes.
And when you're here, you're going to get an appearance fee.
Yes.
And you want that, right?
Yes.
Good. And so we're going to listen to whatever I tell you, correct?
Yes.
Perfect. because otherwise you may have to learn to love sunny California so you can earn a bus ticket to go home.
Nah.
Got it?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you know, I don't say anything that I don't mean.
Yes, Your Honor.
So you had the dog for 4 months, and then you called him. And what I gather is you wanted the paperwork for the dog.
What?
Just that's what you said. You wanted the paperwork for the dog because you wanted to breed the dog.
Yes.
And after that call, he said to you, I want to come over and pick up the dog because I want to breed the dog once more.
Correct.
And you let him come and take the dog.
Correct. He was supposed to have him for 2 days.
After the 2 days, did you have any communication with him?
Yes. Actually, the defendant sent me a text message on July the 21st that he wanted to come pick the dog up.
Okay.
He was supposed to have him for 2 days.
May I see the messages,
So in 2
please?
days, I sent him a text message saying, okay, are you bringing Gizmo back today?
Oh, he had a lot to say.
Okay, sit down for 1 second, Sarah.
Anthony Williams claims his family friend, Michael Bowers, refuses to return his French bulldog, Gizmo. Michael says Anthony watched the dog, but never owned him.
Before I read this, which clearly says, Morning, Mike, that's you.
Yes, Your Honor.
You still bringing Gizmo today. That's July 23rd. And then July 24th, he writes again, Hey, Mike, you bringing Gizmo today? And then you answer him. And you say, no, they probably be done today, so I'll bring him tomorrow.
Yes.
Did you bring him?
No, the reason why I didn't bring him is not his dog to bring. He was just watching the dog for me.
Okay.
Okay.
Now let's hear about...
Yeah, so Logan had a lot to say. He is actually the papered owner of Stitch/Gizmo.
Yes.
And they purchased the dog in March of 21. They went 50-50 on the price, which was $5,000. They each paid $2,500 from a friend of Mr. Jean-Pierre's in New Jersey, but said that he was in his care for maybe a week or two. The reason that they were asking him to watch the dog is because Mr. Jean-Pierre had 5 dogs in his home, 3 females, and already had 1 male in the home with 3 females in heat. So to have 2 males in the house would have been a little rowdy. So they had the plaintiff take Gizmo for that period.
Is that what they told you?
I've never spoken to this other gentleman that she's spoken about, but when I spoke to the defendant...
Go ahead.
He said that he felt comfortable with the plaintiff taking the dog when the defendant presented it to him, seemed like a good enough guy, like he would take care of him, had a nice house.
And he is the registered owner?
Yes, he said he's the only one. He has his last name. He's the only one with the AKC papers. Okay. He believed he forwarded a picture of it to the defendant prior to coming here today.
Fine. So from what I gather, he has a $2,500 investment in this dog. Mm-hmm. Plus whatever shots it was, and they've used the dog for breeding.
Oh, twice. I asked how many times they've bred him. He said twice.
Twice. So now I want you to do the following, Sarah. I'd like you to call him back.
Oh, great.
This is a unique situation because I can't resolve this with a third party. Would you ask him if he is made financially whole? Will he agree to allow Mr. Williams to take the dog, which will be used strictly as a pet? You prepared to do that? Otherwise, I may not be able to resolve this, sir. Do you understand?
That's why I'm suing. I do want the dog back.
Just
the
a
only
second.
thing is
Do you understand? Which means that you're going to have the dog neutered and he will be a pet.
Yes, that's totally fine.
Okay.
Find out.
And by financially whole, you're referring to the $2,500
that he said he invested. I don't care about him.
Okay.
May I say something, Your Honor?
Yes.
If you give me an order and we go back to Atlanta and I have to pick the dog up, I don't trust that the defendant will hand over the dog.
You're going to get the dog from his partner.
Well, Your Honor, I have other text messages of the defendant promising to bring this dog back to me because, at this point...
I'd like to see them.
Yes, at this point, I'm a dog person and I love the dog.
No, I don't believe you, sir.
And
why would I give him a $10,000 dog that could just get back to my car?
Just a second.
I
believe him. So you don't give a dog to somebody. You say, could you watch my dog for a week? And you have a partner. So if you have a partner and the living situation prevents you from keeping the dog, it's going to be for a longer period of time.
Excuse me, I have a lease that prevents me from having dogs.
I don't care if you have a lease or something from the Pope. It makes no difference. I believe you that you said you couldn't keep the dog for a while.
So that means I just give up ownership of the dog because
You never had ownership of the dog, sir. The dog belongs to somebody else.
Yes, I do. Me and him co-owns the dog.
He says that he owns the dog.
We co-own the dog. We got a business
good.
together.
That makes it even easier for me. May I have that, please?
That's the business license that we have together.
Yeah. You answered his question. Mike, you're going to bring Gizmo over. You're going to bring him back. Let me know. Please, you're coming back tomorrow. And you finally answer him. He is, but he is still with my friend right now. He's going to bring him back soon. The dog's just mated. And then Friday, August 18th, he says to you, what's up with Gizmo? Every day he's writing to you, what's up with Gizmo? When are you coming back with him? And you say to him, Friday, August 18th, yeah, I'm bringing him back before the weekend is over. Good, I miss him. How'd we do?
No dog. He does not wish to relinquish his rights to the dog. He thinks that even if the plaintiff is correct in his more monthly caring for the dog, as opposed to what he said, which was a few weeks, nothing compares to the years since March of 21 that this third party has owned the dog and cared for him and made him a part of his family. So he's not interested.
That's just it, Your Honor. They don't care for the dog. The dog is just left in cages. Like I said, at the time that I got the dog, I had to bathe him, take him to the vet, get his nails cut.
Okay, so let me ask you this question, Mr. Bowers. Your partner says the dog has been with him for most of the time.
Between the two of them for most of the time, within the partnership of either Mr. Bowers or the third party.
Well, you can't be housebroken in one place and not be housebroken in another place. Either you keep the dog in a cage or you don't keep the dog in a cage or a crate.
Me personally, when he's with me, I don't have him in a cage. I don't believe in cages.
That's not true, Your Honor.
You just told me you
that's
did.
Not true.
Whitney, can you go back? I thought he said, when I asked him about crate, do you keep the dog in a crate?
He might sleep in a crate, but he's not there all day long.
The dog wasn't housebroken, sir.
The dog was housebroken. You just taking his word for it. The dog was housebroken. It was at my house all the time.
Your Honor, may I say something?
Just a minute. So at the beginning, the word was crate, not cage, crate.
He did seem to care for the dog, and even when I mentioned the $2,500 and making him whole financially, he did not seem to waver in the slightest.
The plaintiff said he is not housebroken at all to be a 2-year-old dog. You said, so it's clear that the dog wasn't housebroken. The dog was kept crated most of the time. The defendant said, yes, ma'am.
Okay, perfect.
Anthony Williams is accusing his family friend, Michael Bowers, of stealing his French bulldog, Gizmo. Michael claims he only asked Anthony to temporarily watch Gizmo.
Mr. Williams.
Yes, ma'am.
This is my conundrum. I'm prepared to rule today, and I'm taking at face value the fact that he and his partner co-own the dog. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
I cannot order the partner to relinquish the dog to you. I have no control. If I had the partner under my jurisdiction, if you had in fact sued the partner, I may be able to, but I can only rule on his ownership of the dog, which I am prepared to do today.
This is the first that I'm hearing about the co-owner.
The partner.
I thought that,
I assume that this is the first you're hearing about.
Right, and for me, I feel like for me to be made whole, of course I would want the dog back. Like I said, I don't trust him in giving it back, but I feel like the only way that I can be made whole is for him to pay to get me another dog if I do not get Gizmo back.
No, you're going to be made whole by paying all of your bills for the time that you had the dog. Mm-hmm. Because you did that with the understanding from him that the dog was going to be yours. So economically, you'll be made whole. Now, emotionally, if you can't be made whole because you're not going to get the dog back, I can't order the dog back from the legal owner. But he has to hurt some.
He don't have any proof that I said he had the dog.
Mr. Bowers, I think you better quit while you're ahead, sir. You acknowledge the fact you did that he had the dog for 4 months. Do you want me to read that back to you?
Because my lease agreement does not allow me to have dogs.
I don't give a rat's behind about your lease agreement or any of your personal problems. Do you understand? If there was, in fact, a misunderstanding between the two of you, he suffered by treating the dog as his own, feeding it, taking it to the vet, having it groomed, and because of your misrepresentation, he's going to be made whole. Now, you can make your case to a judge locally, where you come from in Georgia, why you should have this dog, but I can't make a decision without having somebody here who is the titled owner of a property. Now, I want you to tell me, sir, what your vet bills were.
I think you
Yeah. Maybe I know.
have that paper. Your Honor, is there anything because this case was like very emotional. I had to take off work from this, and I do have paperwork from my doctor. Because I was worried about the dog.
The dog is good. It's my dog.
But he wasn't good when you gave him to me.
He was up to date with everything.
He was up to date on the shots, but
I'm looking for something here in your paperwork. I have 368, 257.
Your Honor, and I also have paperwork of everything. I bought the dog off of Amazon, his monthly flea and tick, everything. I have all that here.
Must be at least $1,000 there.
If not
Correct.
more that I've spent.
Okay. Well, I'm adding up the vet bills now. Vet bills now also total very close to $1,000.
Can I say one other thing, Your Honor?
Sure.
Before you proceed? Even if I was not to get Gizmo back, I still would want animal control to go over to this address because the defendant
That's very,
showed me videos.
that's very, very easy, sir.
The defendant showed me videos of the conditions that the dog are staying in. And when I seen the videos, there were cages in someone's garage of dogs stacked on each other. So they're not taking care.
Why wouldn't you do that before?
I didn't know the address.
We'll do that.
Okay. Once you get animal control, Sarah will be more than happy to get on and indicate to animal control that in addition to you, I would like to see a report.
Okay.
If animal control takes any of these dogs, what I am going to indicate is that the American Kennel Club should add your name as a co-owner of the dog. Okay. That will prevent his partner, hopefully, that I've made this adjudication, your name is to be added as co-owner, which means he can't sell these puppies without your permission. Do you understand?
Yes.
Tell that to your partner. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Perfect. In any event, we're going to issue that order to the American Kennel Club if that's where they're registered. I'm awarding you $2,500 in your lawsuit against the plaintiff, which covers all of your expenses, and $500 for your aggravation in bringing you here. It is absolutely appalling to me when I have a vision of these adorable little creatures that have no life at all except to breed and are kept in such a way, if it's true, that is so cruel and unkind, all for the purpose of a buck.
Yes.
Very, very sad to me.
Yes,
and I will do anything in my power to make uncomfortable a person who has chosen to do this as a business and not taken care of their creatures appropriately. Yes. So that's my judgment. And then I leave it to you what you do in Georgia to see if you can get Gizmo home.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, good.
This court is adjourned.
I feel like it's strictly a business to them. They don't care about dogs. They're just about the money.
It was business on my end, and it was pets as well, but we bought it for business, but then we fell in love with the dog, so that's what happened.
The dog needed to not be crated. He just needed to be loved, a family, and trained, and well taken care of. And the most important thing is not sitting in a cage all day.
Dog was not neglected. He don't have no proof of that. He just have he say, she say. He's never even been there.
Well, I'm glad that Judge Judy saw through his lies and all the mess. I'm happy that I brought the case to Judge Judy, and I'm satisfied with the verdict.
I hope it all works out.
What I would hope happens as a result of my ruling today happens, which would be that the American Kennel Club would add the plaintiff's name as owner of the dog, because as between the plaintiff and the defendant, I believe that the defendant led the plaintiff to believe that this dog he was giving him the dog because he couldn't take care of it anymore because of his lease.
Sure.
So as between the two of them, the people that we had here today, I believe that the defendant gave up his interest in the dog. So I've just taken away from the defendant today any issue that he has no rights to this dog in a business.
Okay.
Now, hopefully the AKC will do what we want them to do. Who knows? Things may get interesting when they all return to Georgia.
Yeah, we shall see.
Okay, and you heard a crash in your house.
Shattering, yes.
You went over to wake her up, you were mad, and you broke his window. You'd been fighting with him all day. I'm guessing so. The glass wasn't broken when you went to sleep, right?
She was...
I'm not asking you anything. You don't have to be a genius to connect these dots.
This is Judy Justice. John Morrow is suing the defendant, Joshua Lease, for trespassing and vandalizing his home.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 3111, Morrow versus Lease.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Morrow, your girlfriend's name is Skylar,
Correct.
and that would be Skylar.
Correct.
This young woman's name is Brittany. Brittany was a very good friend with Skylar, and this is Brittany's boyfriend.
Yes, ma'am.
And what I gather was you and your girlfriend on September the 1st had a disagreement.
Something like that.
Do you and Brittany live together?
Yes, we do currently.
On September 1st, were you living together?
No.
When did you move in together?
Not long after the whole incident, probably about a month or so after.
Tell me about the incident that happened that caused Brittany to flee and go to the plaintiff's home.
Sure.
And, Kevin, I would like you to show Brittany to the waiting room outside.
This way, please.
All right, Mr. Lease. Now I'd like you to tell me what happened between you and Brittany on September 1st.
She had gone out drinking with Skylar and Mr. Morrow. I was upset that she went out drinking because we had alternate plans.
Okay, just a minute. Had you been working?
I had worked.
And when you came home, how did you find out that she was out with...
She told me, she said, I went out drinking.
How did you communicate?
Phone.
By phone?
Via text.
Just a second.
Back
By
and
text.
forth.
So you came home from work.
Mm-hmm. She said, we're done, we're coming in. It was later on that night. It had to be a couple hours after I took a shower, and said that she was coming over to the house.
To your house?
Because she knew I was upset, that she had gone out drinking. She was intoxicated, so I was upset.
Oh, just a second. She said she was intoxicated.
Well, just because of the text message change, you could hear, the drinking. You can kind of tell somebody's getting inebriated.
Why don't you show me the text messages on your phone?
Of our back and forth?
Yes.
I had gotten a new
Everybody
phone.
gets a new phone. Everybody gets a new
it.
phone. You know how long I've had my phone? It still has a button on it.
Still a flip?
Yeah. Find the text messages so that I can see them.
Months.
We have the exact date, September 1st, 2023.
That was of the incident, correct?
Mm-hmm. Kevin, would you have, please, the witness find that communication starting in September?
She would probably have it before I would.
Just a second.
Yep. You have to ask her. Stop at October 15th.
Skylar, did Brittany communicate with you by text or by phone?
By text.
Okay. While I'm taking the rest of his testimony, would you check your phone, please, to see what the messages are on your phone for September 1st? Would you do that? Thank you very much. Okay, Mr. Lease. So you were annoyed because, as far as I believe you testified, you could tell that she was inebriated and getting drunker by her text messages.
Mm-hmm.
What prompted her to come to your house?
Because she wanted to see me. She wanted to come over.
She was going to come to your house.
And which she did.
She did?
Mm-hmm.
And what time did your girlfriend get to your house?
It was late. It was midnight-ish.
Did she come into your house?
Yes, she came in.
Just a
discussed,
second.
Yeah.
Did you let her in, or did she have her own key?
No, she don't have her own key.
So you let her in?
Yes, because she
Now I want you to start from the point when you let her in the house.
I just was upset with her.
I want you to tell me. Upset is a state of mind. I want you to tell me what she said to you and what you said to her.
She wanted to stay the night. She was obviously, trying to sleep over. And I was still upset. She said, fine, I'm going to John's house.
That's all that happened?
And she said, if you want to come over, you're more than welcome over. I'll be sleeping in the front room.
Okay. So you were upset. What did you say when you were upset to her?
I just wanted space. I was irritated at this point, and I worked.
So you said you wanted space?
Yeah.
Now, she was going over to this gentleman's house where her friend was.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh is not an
Yes,
answer.
ma'am.
And she left, and she drove to John's house.
Yes, ma'am.
What happened next?
After she had left, I had left not that far behind her because I was more concerned about her safety. As I sat there, I was like, she shouldn't be driving right now. So as concerned, I left about 10, 15 minutes behind her. And when I got there, I had stopped getting responses. So it was to the point of like, well, what's going on?
Well, this was about midnight. That's what
Yeah.
you said. And you
She
went
had left like an hour after. We sat there for a little bit and talked.
Oh, well, you forgot to tell me that.
Yeah.
You sort of forgot to tell me that. You said you wanted space.
I did. I was just over the night and everything. It was a long night at work.
So now we're at 1 o'clock. Because if you said you
My
chatted...
time frames might be off a little bit here.
They
with
better
the-
get straight, sir. You've been in court before?
In the past.
In the past.
As a young one.
Okay, so you know it's important that you remember, and you've had some time to remember because according to you, you weren't drunk. You had just come home from work. So you should be clear-headed. So you did chat with her for an hour, tell her how upset you were and she wanted to stay, and you're like, all right, then I'm going to John. It happened in a very civilized fashion.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
She
ma'am.
can't
I'm
take
sorry.
down uh-huh.
I'm sorry.
Okay. And she stopped responding to you. At some point, when you tried to text her, she was in John's house.
Yes.
That's what you said.
Yes.
What happened next?
And then I got irritated that, she stopped responding. I just said, well, screw it. I should go home. I was getting eaten up by mosquitoes. And she did say, come knock on the window if I fall asleep to wake me up if you want me to come
really?
back over.
Just a second. When did she say that to you? Before or after you told her that you weren't interested in her staying for the night?
She said, if you change your mind, come knock on the window. I'll be in the front room.
She said that by text?
No, in person, in front of my garage as she was leaving.
Do I look stupid? There's no sign here?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So you've been texting each other, but that she told you, she said, come and wake me up
If you change your mind.
by knocking at the window.
Because I didn't want to have sex. I was irritated.
Well, what did you want to have when you went over to his house at 3 o'clock in the morning?
I kind of wanted to apologize for being a...
Okay, so this is what the case is about. He broke the window in your house.
Correct.
And you wanted him to pay for the repair of the window.
Correct.
Got it. Simple as that.
Should be.
Now you can bring in Brittany.
Morrow claims the defendant, Joshua Lease, is responsible for breaking his bedroom window. Joshua says he touched the window, but it did not break.
Thanks. Okay, Brittany, you stand next to Mr. Lease. Okay. I have a few questions for you. Mr. Lease tells me that the two of you were not living together on September 1st. Is that right?
Correct.
And that night on September 1st, Mr. Lease was working.
Correct.
What time does he usually get home?
I can't remember the day. It is normally Tuesday, Wednesdays. He does work 14 hours sometimes. On Thursdays, he does work 14 hours also, but I can.
Do you remember? I don't want to
Sorry,
hear.
no.
I don't want you to open your mouth.
Yes, ma'am.
That night, he was coming home later.
Correct.
And you decided to go out with your friend and her boyfriend.
Correct.
What time did you leave?
Around possibly 6 or 7.
Were you staying at Mr. Lease's house?
At the time, I was actually staying with my roommate. I was over her house. I may have stopped at his house just for a few minutes.
He wasn't home?
Yeah, correct.
Okay. So now we're at about 6. You went out for dinner?
Dinner, a few drinks.
And how did you communicate with Mr. Lease that you were out for the evening with your friend and her boyfriend?
I was just letting him know that I was going over to her house and I would be there soon.
And you were communicating with him by text message?
Correct.
You have your text messages for that night?
I tried to scroll back to that night. I couldn't bring up anything because it was so many text messages are in there. I couldn't bring it up. I just kept scrolling.
Okay. So you texted him that you were out for dinner and a few drinks. And what did he say to you in the text?
I can't remember at the time of what.
Was
what
he
we were
happy
saying.
that you were out with John and Skylar?
Well, we had a little disagreement.
Careful. I know everything.
Okay.
I want you to know that I know everything. Was he happy that you were out with John and Skylar?
No.
What did he text you?
He was sending me messages to not come back until I was ready to come home the next day. So that's what I did.
You didn't go over to his house?
I did go over to his house after we got done going out. I did, yes.
Yes, you went over to his house.
Correct.
And what time did you get there?
I want to say it was around 12 a.m., 1 a.m.
Okay. And what happened when you got there?
He politely asked me to leave, and I tried telling him, like I wanted to try and work it out with him. And he politely asked me to leave again, and I continued to stay there, trying to, overbear him with everything that was going on.
Like what?
Of us arguing, of me going out with them.
What was wrong with going out with them? No, look at me. Brittany, I'm asking you a question. What was wrong with going out with your friend and her boyfriend? What did he say was wrong with you going out?
I was too intoxicated at the time.
Is that what he said to you?
I believe so.
Were you drunk?
I was.
Did you drive to his house?
Before
you
we
drive to his house at 12 o'clock?
Yes.
Drunk?
No, I was not drunk.
Well, just a second. You either were drunk or you weren't drunk. You said he was mad because I was too intoxicated, and you drove there. Were you drunk or were you not drunk? Now you're not drunk.
I was drunk.
So you drove drunk. So you drove drunk.
Correct.
And he told you to leave.
He did.
Politely.
Politely.
Just a second.
Politely at first, yes. Politely.
I just want to tell you who you're dealing with. I'm 80 years old, plus one. This is not stupid. How did he tell you to leave?
At first, he nicely asked me to leave. And then I kept going on and on, continuing to ask him if I could stay. And it kept making him upset. It made him upset, which is understandable. I get that. And then
what? You're getting red in the chest. Be careful.
I told him that I would just leave and I would go back to their house and stay.
When he got upset, what happened?
When I told him I was leaving?
No, before you wouldn't leave, when he got upset. Do you remember what you texted your friend Skylar?
No, I don't.
Well, Skylar has it on her phone. Kevin, can I see the...
So this is from lunchtime to...
Well, you had been fighting with him all day. You'd been fighting with him all day. That's what you told her.
I'm guessing so. I don't...
What do you mean you're guessing so? That's what you told her. Am I reading this wrong? You weren't fighting with John.
No.
You were fighting with him all day.
I don't remember anything that I had said.
What's your first name?
Mine?
Yours.
Joshua.
Me and Josh have been fighting all night and day. I really don't want to sit around and think about anything. I've had 2 hours sleep, and that's it. Does that sound familiar?
Yes.
She tells you to need clothes. I can see if I have anything in this bag, but I doubt I do. I'm crying. I'm trying to calm down before I get there. Does that sound familiar?
I don't remember.
You're literally dumb. You'll let your man hit you, and you won't call the police. That sound familiar?
I don't remember any of the messages.
Stand up, please.
John Morrow has accused the defendant, Joshua Lease, of breaking his bedroom window. Joshua claims John is overcharging him for a window he did not break.
Did you say to your friend Skylar he wants to resolve it, and he was saying he would literally give John money to help fix it? He just wants everything dropped because the police were called, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And this is you talking, correct?
Correct.
He was just trying to come wake me up to talk and apologize to me, and didn't think when he knocked on the window it was that hard. He said he truly didn't mean it at all and has repeatedly said he's sorry. Is that what you said to your friend Skylar?
Correct.
All righty. And then the response is, Brittany, he wrapped his hand around a blank shirt to punch the window out. He was just knocking. Are you blank kidding me? Are you guys getting back together? And you respond, he said he didn't wrap it up at all. He just said he just had it in his hand and didn't even use that hand. It was the opposite one. And I don't know. I told him things need to be resolved and things need to get fixed. If Johnny could just drop everything, I would be happy. Josh is going to make everything right. Now, how did you know Josh is going to make everything right? Because you spoke to him.
Correct.
And he told you he was going to make everything right with the window. He just didn't want the police involved anymore. I'm listening.
Correct.
All righty. What's the issue, Josh? You went over to wake her up. You were mad. And you broke his window.
The window wasn't broken when I went there.
So your girlfriend's a liar?
I'm not saying she's a liar. That's what I was pressed. They were like, either you're going to...
No. I'm not talking about the police. I'm talking to you about what you said to your girlfriend. She says you told her you're just going to make it right.
Yeah.
You'll make everything right. You just don't want the police involved.
He was upset. I mean, what am I supposed to do? I was trying to make everyone happy. I'm trying to be a peacemaker here with this.
All right. You were awakened, I don't know, it says 3 o'clock in the morning. Is that the time it was?
It was about 4:51 a.m.
Okay, and you heard a crash in your house?
Shattering, yes.
Okay, and what did you do?
The house. Jumped up out of bed. We were dead asleep. Couldn't tell where it came from, so started searching the rooms to see what happened. Brittany came out of her room. We asked her if her window was okay. She said, yeah. So I'm checking all the other windows throughout the house. Can't find anything. Finally, I go into Brittany's room, and there's glass all over the bed she was sleeping in, because the window was right next to the bed.
Now, you remember that? That sound familiar? Brittany, pay careful attention. I have the phone. Does it sound familiar that there was broken glass in the room where you were sleeping?
Correct.
All right. Perfect. The glass wasn't broken when you went to sleep, right?
She was...
I'm not asking you anything. The glass wasn't broken when you went to sleep, was it?
Correct.
You remember Johnny coming down to look to see what the noise was? Yes. You remember Johnny coming down in the early morning to see what had happened?
Yes.
Do you remember him going into your room?
Yes, but that was after, we searched the entire house.
He searched with you. And then when he went into your room, where you had been sleeping, I assume, the window that was broken was in your room.
Correct.
All righty. You don't have to be a genius to connect these dots. I have a great-grandchild who's going to be a year old tomorrow. He could connect these dots. How much did it cost to fix the window?
The replacement window was $2,081.20.
You have the...
I do. It was 2 payments in yellow.
$2,081.
Correct.
Judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you very much. You better rethink this. I'm telling you, you better rethink it. For your own sake, you better rethink it.
This court is adjourned.
I didn't break the window. And $2,100 for a window in Florida, that's not impact proof. That's insane.
I think the judge was very fair and could see through their lies and their story of what happened that night.
Just a casual knock, and maybe my bracelet hairline fractured it, but I didn't break that window when I left there.
Yeah, well, it was definitely broken. We have pictures and video of it as well.
I'm happy it's behind me. It's outrageous, $2,180 for a window. That's unheard of.
I think instead of running around breaking windows at 4 a.m., he should probably get a second job so he could afford his actions.
It should be bulletproof for that price.
Thank you, Judy Justice.
Thank you.
So to all the young ladies out there, there are warning signs. And sometimes the need to nest, which most women have, obscures your good judgment. But if you have to flee somebody once, it should be the only time.
Sure. Even if they get annoyed at you going out for dinner and drinks with your friend and her boyfriend or partner, you know, red flag. That's the first one.
That doesn't jive with, I came home from work, 8:30, 9 o'clock. I was tired. I worked 14-hour day. And then you're up 4 o'clock in the morning because you've been texting back and forth, which both people conveniently couldn't find. Interesting that the witness could find it. But she seems like a mild young lady, Brittany.
Shouldn't be with someone who breaks windows by accident.
And who's familiar with courts.
Yeah.
So beware.
Yeah.
They sometimes the need to nest shouldn't interfere with your own gut reaction. Somebody.
Yeah,
anyway,
I agree.
I hope she's smart.
Hopefully it works out.
Life. Your brother asked you if you wanted to come and live with him.
Yes, ma'am.
Things started to get sticky.
He likes to yell and scream. I told him basically that he needed to move out.
How did you respond to that?
Not well.
And your reaction was to hit him. Ever heard of the old adage that fish and company start to smell after 3 days?
This is Judy Justice. Stephen Shuffler is suing his half-brother, Jonathan Doucette, for damages from an assault in a moving vehicle.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please. Kevin?
Hello, Judge. Case 3101, Chauffeur versus Duquette.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Chauffeur, the defendant is your much younger half-brother.
Yes, ma'am.
How old are you?
40.
And you, sir?
23.
And from what I gather from the papers, your mom died 3 years ago?
Yes, ma'am.
And you were living with her at the time?
No, I was not. I was actually staying in my own rental place in the same hometown of Eunice, Louisiana.
Were you working?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did there come a point when you stopped working?
Yes, ma'am.
When was that?
It was shortly after my relocation to Arcadia, Florida, and I was out of work for several months.
So you relocated shortly after your mom died. In Florida, is that where your brother lived?
No, he lives on South Beach.
But also in Florida?
Yes.
And when you moved to Florida, from what I gather from the papers, things didn't go well for you. You lost your job. And your brother asked you if you wanted to come and live with him, at least temporarily.
Yes, ma'am.
You would say that's nice of him.
Yes, ma'am.
And who does your brother live with?
His best friend, Ivan.
And Ivan was okay with it?
Yes, ma'am.
So in what month and year did you pack up your things from Arcadia and move in with your brother?
I actually do not have an exact recollection of that date and time.
It was November of 2020.
So right in the middle of COVID. What kind of house does your brother have? House, apartment?
It's a condo.
How many bedrooms?
1.
Where did you sleep?
On the sofa.
So it was clear then that you're a grown man, he's a grown man, he's got a roommate. I assume you split the costs of the apartment with the roommate?
He's my partner.
Do you split the costs?
No.
You don't? Who pays the rent?
He does. He pays the mortgage and everything.
So he pays all of the expenses. By the way, how was your partner with your brother moving in?
He was happy with him coming. I mean, because, he thought it would be good for me and that it would be good for him because where he was living before, he was not living in very good conditions and not with a very good person. And from the day that I met the person he was living with before, I said, he's got to go. I didn't want him there anymore, So when the opportunity presented itself, I asked him to come live with me and he came.
Okay. So you were staying on the couch, there's one bedroom, and I assume that you weren't contributing to any of the household finances.
I have a monthly rent of $300.
So you pay them $300?
A month, yes.
And when did that start?
It was about a year and a half after when I had picked up my first job.
Okay, so you lived there rent-free, and they covered your expenses for a year and a half.
Yes.
Nice. But then, what I gather from reading these papers, things started to get sticky, because I assume you knew that this was not a permanent arrangement, sleeping on a couch. You knew that.
Yes, ma'am.
That's not the way, you live in a one-bedroom apartment sleeping on the couch. It was supposed to be temporary. And I gather things got a little testy because you ever heard of the old adage that fish and company start to smell after 3 days? Ever hear that?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, now we're into your 3rd year. And you both acknowledge that there was some arguing in the house after a period of time?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Between the two of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
What about his partner?
His partner was not involved in the argument.
My partner he wouldn't tell him anything, but he would come to me anytime he did anything that he didn't like. I would have to hear about it.
Okay. He's your brother, you take care of him.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yes, ma'am.
So there had been one such argument, and then from what I'm reading, you had a doctor's appointment.
Yes, ma'am.
And there had been a little episode maybe the night before or the day before, so you thought maybe it would be a good idea for your brother to drive to the doctor's appointment where you could have a discussion with him.
Yes, ma'am.
And that was on the 15th of May of 2023.
Yes, ma'am.
So you want to tell me what happened that morning and getting into the car, because it is your claim that your brother assaulted you and physically injured you during the course of that car ride to the doctor. That's what this case is about.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I was a little upset with Johnny because the night before he was yelling and cursing at me with the door open, and some of my neighbors came outside and they were looking at us and they were like, what's going on? And that became kind of common with him because he likes to yell and scream. I'm a very soft-spoken person. I don't yell and scream even when I'm mad. I stay very calm. And, my partner was complaining to me, and we were kind of at odds with each other because of this over the last few years. I mean, when he comes home, he doesn't even talk. He just goes straight to his bedroom and closes the door, like my partner does.
Oh.
Like he wasn't even talking to me. He was, very angry with me because of this, because he blames me in a way for how he behaved.
Okay.
Stephen Shuffler claims his half-brother, Jonathan Doucette, assaulted him when he was driving, resulting in a permanent scar.
So you're going to a hematology appointment. Did you ask your brother to join you, or did he?
He wanted to come. He insisted on coming because he didn't want to be left home alone. And he usually would accompany me to the doctor's office anyway. Like, he would most always come with me. Even if we were not arguing, it didn't make a difference. He would almost always come with me. And so we started driving, and when we were in the express lane, and there's no way to stop in the express lane because there's no shoulder, he opened the door and was saying he was going to jump out of the car.
No, but you were arguing before that.
What I told him is basically that Ivan had enough and that I had enough and that he needed to move out. He needed to go back to his family in Louisiana, or he needed to make some other arrangement because I couldn't take the stress anymore. I had health problems at the time.
Is that what he told you?
Yes, ma'am.
I just couldn't take it anymore because of the stress.
How did you respond to that?
Not well.
Tell me what you did.
We were having a discussion about what had happened the night before, after he had talked about him and Ivan having an issue with me. I mean, at the point of I wanted to go with him to the doctors to smooth this over. And more or less, it was to the point where he was just verbally berating me at that point, and it was...
Did he tell you that both he and his partner wanted you to move and find a suitable place to live?
Yes.
And when he told you that, and you reacted badly, did you try to open the car door?
Yes, ma'am. It was only a ruse, though. I just wanted him to stop.
That was in your mind, that it was only a ruse. You asked him to stop. Your brother said, can't stop here. It's in an express lane. You're on a highway?
Yes, ma'am.
So you're going at least 50, 60 miles an hour on Parkway. And you went to open the car door. I'm going to ask you, at that point, you're pretending, but he doesn't know that you're pretending to open the car door. I want you to tell me what happened, Mr. Doucette.
Well, when I opened the car door in order to make an attempt to have him cease the verbal beating that he was giving me, he reached over, and in my perspective, I thought he was violently grabbing me, and I acted on impulse.
How did he grab you? By the shirt, by the hair?
Elbow.
So you're driving,
Yes,
so
ma'am.
I assume his right hand grabbed you like this. Is that right? And grabbed your left elbow.
Yes, ma'am.
And your reaction was to hit him.
Yes, ma'am.
So you took your right hand and hit him. Where did you hit him?
In between his eyebrows.
Did the car stop?
No.
Kept going?
Yes, ma'am.
For how long?
I imagine it was hardly 15 to 20 minutes before we got him to the hospital.
Well, you got him to the hospital because he was bleeding?
Yes, ma'am. Profusely.
Do you have the hospital report, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see it because we already then have the fact that he put his hand on you, in all probability, to stop you because he thought you were going to jump out of the car. Your reaction was to punch him. That's what happened. It's not so crazy unusual. There's a bad cut there. Was that just from your hand, or did you have a ring on or something? That's a pretty bad cut, so that's pretty powerful.
It was my knuckle bone.
No, that's a pretty devastating blow. You're lucky you could drive.
Yeah.
Well, it was clearly, Mr. Doucette, an assault on your brother, and he was clearly injured. That's what the basis of this case is. When did you move out?
Almost 2 months after.
When did he move out?
It was a few months later. It was like maybe in October, the beginning of October, or September or October.
When did you file this case?
A few months ago, like in October, I think. I filed it with the court just a few weeks ago, actually. I thought you meant with you guys.
Is what you're saying that you filed this case
Just
to
after
appear
New
before
Year's.
me in October, and then you filed it in court sometime more recently?
Yeah, in January, the beginning of January.
In court?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have medical insurance?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so the medical insurance covered most of your medical bill?
Yes, ma'am.
Was there any payment beyond that?
I had to go to Pensacola to visit a plastic surgeon that I'm friends with to see if there was anything he could do for me. I went to see him twice, and basically he gave me silicone gel to put on the scar. He's a good friend of mine, and so he didn't charge me anything.
Okay, you don't see it really. As you get older, you find that you look at yourself a little less, or you put the mirror a little farther away. You don't see these little things, otherwise you would have nightmares and be up all night. So you stayed home for a couple of months. How was the couple of months that you spent before you moved out after the assault?
I felt terrible.
I assume that you did. Where are you living now?
In West Palm Beach.
Good. With whom?
Shelter.
Is that the shelter that you moved into when you moved out of the condo?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you working?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me what the shelter is like, Mr. Doucette.
Just very nice people, generally keep to themselves. I keep to myself, and
Have your own room?
I share a room with another person there.
Is it okay?
Yes, ma'am.
You see a doctor regularly?
Yes, ma'am.
Weekly?
Weekly, yes, ma'am.
Weekly. Through the shelter?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I also see a therapist weekly through the shelter.
That's what I was talking about.
Oh, my bad.
Okay. All right, good. So it sounds as if you're in a reasonable place now.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. So you acknowledge how badly you felt after this assault. It was really an unprovoked assault. He was probably trying to pull you back so that you wouldn't hurt yourself. Because I have a feeling that your brother loves you a great deal. But you're probably better off outside of somebody else's social situation, by yourself, whether it's by yourself at a shelter or hopefully someday in a place of your own.
Stephen Shuffler claims his half-brother, Jonathan Doucette, assaulted him when he was driving, resulting in a permanent scar.
In any event, you understand, Mr. Schaeffler, that I'm going to issue a judgment in your favor, but it's not going to be a crippling judgment against your brother. I think that he understands that what he did was wrong. You're entitled to a monetary reward. You had some pain and suffering. Certainly you understand what his situation is. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. We're finished. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
I caused my brother unnecessary suffering. I mean, at least he got a little bit of something for it, as opposed to the hell and grief I gave him.
He needed something to happen to him to get him to see reason and behave himself, because he's kind of out of control.
A lot of pain. It's bleeding everywhere, and it was not good.
I wasn't verbally assaulting him or berating him. I was just telling him, you really need to leave my house. You need to go because I can't deal with you anymore and the drama that you make and the trouble that you cause,
I just want him to know I love him and I'm sorry.
I don't know that if he's changed his mentality or his way of thinking and behaving. I mean, he says that, but he always would tell me that, and then he would go back to doing the same things right after.
Only time will tell.
Yes, there is. a chance to put the relationship back together.
I felt so sad for both of those brothers. Clear that the defendant has issues. His brother seems like a very nice young man and really tried very hard to help his brother.
One incident, though, can turn it all
Okay,
sour.
well, you know, I really don't think it did, Sarah. The defendant said he felt terrible. I said, how did you feel for those 2 months? He said, I felt terrible. He knew he had just lost it for that moment.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that they love each other.
Seems like he's on the path to getting the help that he needs and getting on the right track, though. So that's at least positive to see.
Sad. But I think he has a supportive family. I still think that he's supportive of him, which is very mature, very grown up, and for the defendant, very lucky.
Yeah.
Case 3093, Scott versus Scott. All parties, please come forward.
Tanisha Scott is suing her niece, Sierra Scott, for travel costs from Sierra's negligence.
Miss Scott, this is your niece. Is she your sister's daughter or your brother's daughter?
My sister's daughter.
How old are you?
47.
How old is she?
27 now.
So this is what the case is about. The family was planning a trip to Disney in Florida.
Yes.
How many people were going?
7 people, not including the children.
7 adults?
Yes.
Tell me who they were.
My mother, my mom's friend, my aunt, my husband, and myself.
And did you invite your aunt to go with you?
Yes.
When was it that you invited your aunt?
When she was included in the planning, in the original planning.
Which started when?
April 2022.
Okay, so this is what the case is about. You were supposed to find the least expensive flights for a few people.
Yes.
Not everybody, I assume.
Just my aunt and my mom.
This aunt?
Yes.
And your mom. And you did, in fact, do some investigation. And when you thought you found the right fare, there was a 3-way call to the airline.
Yes.
You were on the call?
Yes.
You were on the call?
Yeah.
And the airline was on the call?
Yes.
And you purchased tickets to go? And you purchased tickets on what date?
I purchased the tickets.
You all purchased the tickets because she used her credit card?
Yes.
Go ahead. What date?
Can I check my evidence?
Absolutely.
Your Honor, I'm sorry, it doesn't tell me the purchase date.
Okay. On what date were you on this 3-way call and the tickets purchased?
If I'm not mistaken, I think it was like December 3rd of 22.
And this is what happened. After the tickets were purchased, you were on, you spoke to the airline, you gave them your credit card number.
Yes.
And they told you how much your fare was going to be. It was just you who
And my son.
You and
your son.
You and your son. So you purchased 2 tickets.
Yes.
Purchased 2 tickets. And when you purchase tickets on an airline, if I'm not mistaken, the attendant who is helping you gives you the date that you're going, your confirmation number. I don't know whether they assign you your seats, tells you certainly from where to where you're going. All of those things are confirmed on the phone.
Yes.
That's what happens when you call the airline.
Yeah.
And you heard where you were going. You're 47 years old. And the airline tickets that you purchased were going to Fort Lauderdale instead of Orlando. What?
That's where she said we were going. I didn't know. It was for her son's birthday. She told me that we going to Fort Lauderdale. That's why the tickets was purchased to Fort Lauderdale.
You were taking your son to Disney, correct?
Yes.
Disney is in Orlando.
Orlando.
So if your niece, who's 27, says we're going to Fort Lauderdale to Disney, what you say is Disney is not in Fort Lauderdale. Disney is in Orlando. That's what this case is about. You were on the phone, you purchased the tickets, then your niece said to you, we really have to fly into Orlando. There's a change fee. And this is what the change fee is to change the tickets from Fort Lauderdale to Orlando. You said, ultimately, you pay the difference. I'm not paying it. It was your mistake. That's what happened.
Yes.
That's why we're here. You didn't go. And you're suing for what you spent on the airline tickets and your contribution to the Airbnb.
Yes, and
that's not happening.
Okay.
If the reason you decided not to go is because you didn't want to pay the change fee, well, that was your fault. You listened. I mean, I don't think that there's a person around who thinks that Disney in Florida is in Fort Lauderdale. It's in Orlando. She may have gotten confused, but you shouldn't have been confused. You were taking a teenager to Disney, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you have no case, Ms. Scott. The fact that you invested in tickets and you didn't want to pay the change fee, you wanted her to pay for you, that's unreasonable.
Okay.
Got it?
Yes.
Good. Case is dismissed. We're done. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
I feel like my niece was responsible for those tickets. Granted that, she said we was going to Fort Lauderdale. I didn't book, it was for your son's birthday party, so.
See, that was a mistake. I didn't know. I've never been to Florida, or I've never been to Disney World before.
The judge said, it was my fault, so it is what it is. I just take the loss, and now I know not to just deal with nobody else and book my own tickets.
There's nothing I can do. There's no money I can return. It was all out of my hands, so I'm glad that she has the satisfaction to know that she can get nothing from me.
That we just move on, and the kids just, be okay by it.
The most surprising thing about that whole case was that people still call to make plane reservations. I can't remember the last time I called to make a plane reservation. You sit on hold forever. I just do it online.
The most people do it online? I know, I haven't made a plane reservation in a very long time.
Yeah, I would assume so. Make it online. Maybe it diminishes the problems like this, like we see here when you book to the wrong place. But hey, for everyone out there, Disney World is in Orlando.
That's true.
Xin chào tất cả các bạn, là mình đây. Các bạn ơi, hôm nay mình và các bạn sẽ tìm hiểu một số món ăn chữa bệnh đái dầm ở trẻ nhé. Đầu tiên, đấy chính là cháo nhân sâm, gồm có gạo tẻ lấy 100g, rang cho nở, sau đó dùng lửa nhỏ hầm nhừ, lấy 10g nhân sâm thái lát, mỏng rồi cho vào hầm tiếp là được. Mỗi ngày cho ăn một lần, nên sử dụng thường xuyên thì trẻ sẽ hạn chế cái bệnh đái dầm đấy. Thứ hai, đấy chính là món cháo mễ nhân bong bóng cá. Sử dụng bong bóng cá 30g, mễ nhân 30g, hành, gừng, xì dầu vừa đủ. Cho bong bóng cá và mễ nhân nấu thành cháo. Trước khi bắc xuống, cho bột gừng, xì dầu, dầu vừng đun sôi là được. Cho ăn ngày một lần và cần ăn 10 đến 15 ngày liên tiếp. Đậu đen hầm thịt chó. Thịt chó 150g, đậu đen 20g. Hai thứ trên cho vào nồi đun lửa to cho sôi, hớt cho sạch bọt, hạ lửa riu riu để đến nhừ. Cho muối hoặc đường vào, chia ra cho trẻ ăn hết trong một ngày. Làm liên tục 15 ngày là một liệu trình. Ba kích hầm ruột gà. Ba kích thiên 15g, ruột gà 2 bộ. Ruột gà rửa sạch, cắt khúc, cho vào nồi cùng 3 kích thiên. Đổ 2 bát nước, sắc còn 1 bát. Cho thêm ít muối, ăn cái uống canh và cho trẻ ăn một lần trong khoảng 10 ngày. Bột cửu hương trùng. Cửu hương trùng sấy chín, tán nhỏ, uống với nước sôi. Ngày uống 2 lần, mỗi lần 3g. Uống vào lúc đói bụng, cần uống liền một thời gian. Hoặc là tiếp theo đấy là đồ uống sơn thù du, lá hẹ. Sơn thù du 15g, lá hẹ 30g. Sắc sơn thù du trước, sau 20 phút thì mới cho tiếp lá hẹ vào. Đun sôi là được. Chắc lấy nước uống thay nước trong